Thank you. Okay, good morning. Welcome. Just in accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. My name is Stan Komorek and I'll be chairing today's session. My fellow panel members are Dominic Gully on my left, Donald Taylor also on my left, Sophia Ruddick on my right, and Rick Ross on my right. I'd also like to introduce our manager for the Etobicoke panel and our Deputy Secretary Treasurer, Barbara Batorsik, who is at the far end. I'd like to do a land acknowledgement and then I'll do a brief procedure of how the meeting's going to unfold today. So for land acknowledgement, we acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and Haudenosaunee and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. With regards to our procedure today, the Committee of Adjustment hearings are now conducted in a hybrid, in-person, and virtual format. Some applicants and participants will make their submissions in person, while others will participate virtually by electronic means through WebEx. The meetings are also streamed
Mr. Chair,
on...
could you just put the microphone closer to you? People are saying they can't hear you.
Okay. The meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning, the meetings are also streamed on the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel, and anyone wishing to view the hearing may watch on YouTube. Those who want to participate virtually and have registered in advance will be connecting with their computer or telephone and have an option of participating via video or audio only. When your item is called, you will be unmuted by the moderator. For both in-person and virtual participants, Committee of Adjustment staff will share presentations submitted in accordance with a written submission deadline. People attending in person today who want to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must fill out a decision request card, and those participating virtually need to submit a written request for decision by email. If you do not agree with the decision of the committee, you may be able to appeal the decision to the Toronto Local Appeal Body or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, the provincial government amended the Planning Act and generally removed rights of third parties to appeal Committee of Adjustment decisions. So now only the applicant, the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, specified persons and public bodies are permitted to appeal decisions of the Committee of Adjustment. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant may proceed with their presentation if desired. When the committee does not require a presentation, applicants are to advise the chair should they wish to speak to the committee. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for decision. Each speaker, including the applicant, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5-minute mark. Any presentation or other materials you wish to submit to the committee must have been emailed in advance to the hearing staff. Staff and committee members cannot accept materials at the hearing. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address. Please remember to confine your remarks to the matter outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will proceed first and will make a presentation to the committee on the application. Then individuals, either in support or opposition to the application, will be invited to speak. Generally, we first call on speakers in the hearing room and then those participating online. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they have finished their presentation. When all speakers are finished, the applicant agent has the opportunity to rebut, but only those issues that were raised by the previous speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Okay, that's our intro. Our next item is minutes of the previous meeting, which I believe were July the 4th. Is anyone who was at that meeting have a motion for approval? Mr. Taylor?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chair. I'll move approval of the minutes for the meeting held on July 4th.
Thank you. Seconder? Mr. Gully? All in favor? The minutes are approved. Declarations of interest of panel members or staff from the morning time slot. Any members or any staff? I have one, item 16. I'm acquainted with people that are adjacent to that site, so I'll step out for that one. Deferrals, I have items 1, 10, and 15. Madam Secretary Treasurer, are there any others?
Those are the ones I'm aware of for the morning session, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So if we can deal with the deferrals first. So the first item is item number 1, which is 4240 Bloor Street West. And the owner is Sokol Kabashi.
Yes.
Oh, welcome. I was just going to ask if you're online.
Perfect. My name is Sokol Kabashi. I'm here for 4240 Bloor Street West.
And you're requesting a referral. Could you just let us know the reason for the deferral?
We're requesting a deferral because we received a new bylaw zoning notice, and we need to prepare for that.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else here to speak to this item?
We do have one person in chambers and one virtual. The virtual is not present on the call at this time. And then there is a person in chambers, though.
And sorry, who's the person in?
Desiree is in person.
Okay.
Or Desdra. Sorry about that. Deirdre.
Okay.
My mistake. Sorry.
So the applicant is asking for a deferral, which means we'll come back at some point in the future. If you're, just want to know if you're okay with that? Okay, thank you. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you very much.
So I need a motion for a deferral then?
Chair, I'm going to move that the application be deferred at the request of the applicant in order for variances to be clarified at next available hearing date.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gully.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Ms. Reddick. All in favor? Okay, the item is deferred. Okay, item 10 is the next one where I believe staff are requesting the deferral.
While you're bringing that up, Mr. Chair, I want to bring to your attention the agent is not on the call. It's his brother, Abdul Salam, who will be speaking on behalf of the file.
Okay. So if we could have Mr. Salam.
Good morning. It's Abdul Salim of 18 Athlon Road, Toronto.
Good morning, sir. Are you in favor of the deferral that's being requested by staff?
Yes, please. We're waiting for the zoning review, so that'll be perfect.
Okay, thank you. And is there, I understand there's no one else to speak to this item then? Sorry.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. So
Beef.
again, if we can, if someone's ready for a motion on that?
Chair, I'll move that the application be deferred to the next available date at the request of the applicant as well as staff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gully.
I will second that motion.
Mr. Ross, all in favor? Okay, that item is also deferred. Thank you, Mr. Abdul.
Abdul, if you can, again, a reminder quickly, just send that email to coa.ey with your contact information so we can have it for our records. Thanks.
Okay, then the last item for deferral is item 15, 166 HUMBERVALE Boulevard. And do we have the applicant?
Mr. Chairman, Franco Romano, Action Planning, 321 Lakeshore.
Good morning, Mr. Romano. You're requesting a deferral on your item?
Yes, we've been undertaking several discussions, both with community planning and with neighbors. We're undertaking some revisions, and it's not an easy site to deal with in terms of our interpretation of the revisions for the variances. So we're also going to have to get an updated zoning notice. So we'd like to be able to continue those discussions and confirm the variances and then come back to committee.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in person here for this?
We do, Mr. Chair. The area resident at 168 Humbervale is present in the chambers. If they'd like to come up now.
Or just let us know what you think. The agent is basically asking for this item to be put off to a later date. Just want to get your input on whether you're okay with that. Sorry, who is it?
Shivani?
No. Sorry, 168?
168 I have as an in person.
Is there anyone
Shivani?
present here for 166 Humbervale Boulevard? No, so
No,
we can go to the
okay.
online people.
So we'll start with the top one. First one is Thomas Christoph. We'll unmute him now.
Mr. Christoph?
Thank you. I'm fine with the deferral.
Thank you, sir. Is Rick Camden online?
Next we'll mute Rick, yes. Rick, go ahead. Oh, Mr. Chair, I don't think Rick has authorized the use of his microphone. I can't unmute him at this time.
Okay, do we have Heather Ramsey?
We do. Heather, go ahead.
Yes, I approve the deferral as well. Heather Ramsey, 164 Humbervale.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank
you. And then Siobhan? Sabina?
Siobhan, yes, I approve the deferral.
Thank
152
you.
Humbervale Boulevard.
Okay, so everyone's in support of deferring. I'm looking for a motion then from panel members.
Motion to approve the deferral as requested by the applicant.
Thank you, Ms. Reddick.
I will second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. All in favor? Okay, the item is deferred. Thank you. Okay, so we can come back to the beginning of the agenda.
Chair, I had a question with respect to item number 17, 9 Densley. Did Transportation Services have a request for deferral on that, or have they withdrawn that?
Transportation is requesting a deferral, but we tend to deal with those as we go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so item 2, 14 Long Branch Avenue will be our first item that we're actually dealing with the merits. And this is an application to construct a rear yard garage with a garden suite. There were 12 variances which have been revised to 11, and then one of those 11 has now been also reduced. Planning is now okay with the application in its current format. Forestry is requesting condition 2, and there are 7 form letters of support. And the agent is Matthew Chung. And online, Mr. Chung?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Okay.
For the record, my name is Matthew Chong from 132 Ashdale in Toronto.
Thank you. I don't think we need a full presentation. However, just given the number of variances, maybe you can give us a brief overview and
Absolutely.
see where we're at.
So I would say almost all of the variances here are come into play because we're building on an existing garage foundation. If you look at drawing 8.1 from our drawing set, you will see where the existing garage location is shown as a dotted area. The client would like to reuse that, 2 walls of that existing garage, as well as the foundation, as the basis for a portion of constructing the new garden suite. What that does is it triggers a number of the variances to the setbacks on the west and south side. You'll notice that a lot of them have to do with for instance, the encroachments for the eaves, the location of the actual walls are put into play because we're building on an existing foundation. One of the other variances, which is the 4.5 meters from a lot line for a garage, because again, we're building on an existing foundation that's in existing condition. Well, and we also look at a number of the other variances, again, triggered once again for the, because we're building in an existing location. We have been able to work with planning for item number 4, which is the reduction in height from 7.6 meters to 6.95. I was working with Alyssa Hawley from planning, and we were able to work within the Long Branch neighborhood guidelines, as well as the zoning bylaw, in order to bring the height of this garden suite into a more acceptable height for planning. It also fits in well with the neighborhood in terms of the streetscape. If you look at drawing 8.11, which is the last drawing, which was requested by planning for us to create a streetscape, you'll notice that the height of the the garden suite fits in well with the overall height of the neighborhood. The biggest concern that planning had was for the, in comparison for the building at 3 Chapel Road. You'll notice there the scale fits in with number 3 Chapel Road very well, and you'll also notice that the setbacks from the property line between our garden suite and 3 Chapel Hill or Chapel Road are quite similar. We also have a letter from 3 Chapel Road in favor of the application and have no negative comments regarding that. So in our position, this garden suite fits in very well with the neighborhood. It meets the 4 tests by which the committee judges these applications. We have, again, support from many members of the neighborhood. And from an architectural perspective, it fits in well with the Long Branch neighborhood development guidelines. And so for that, those reasons, we'd like to have the committee approve the application so that she can provide a fantastic garden suite for the neighborhood for much needed housing. That's really it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chung. I'm assuming there's no one here to speak on this item.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, committee members, any questions?
I just want to make sure I understood the revisions. Number 4, there's the revision to number 4 and the number 5 disappears. Is that correct?
That's correct. Revision number 4 goes from 7.6 down to 6.9. Number 5 disappears because we were able to lower the height of the top of the roof so that the angular plane is on the rear lot line, conforms. And number 12, which is the parking, which with transportation had an issue, we were able to demonstrate that we do have a minimum required parking space size within the garage.
So you said for number 4, it's a 6.9, it's 6.95, is that correct?
Yeah. Yes, sorry, 6.95, my apologies.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no other questions, is anyone ready for a motion? Mr. Taylor?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, overall, I find this to be a very attractive and desirable project. As the applicant pointed out, the garden suite is being built on top of an existing garage. So in terms of massing change from what's there now, the only real difference is a 0.95 meter height difference, So I'm satisfied that the proposal meets all 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval subject to urban forestry condition 2.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. And that's, I'm assuming, as revised?
Yes, the revised application.
Okay. Is there a seconder?
I will second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Ross, all in favor? Okay, we have unanimous approval. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chair, while I've got a break here, I want to bring to your attention that the agent for item number 3 is still not present on the WebEx at this time. The area resident is present. We have reached out to the agent. Best of my knowledge, we haven't heard anything back yet. With that being said, maybe we stand it down until...
Let's stand it down till after our morning break then.
Okay. And if they do show up, I'll let you know. Also, in the meantime, someone did recently join that I hadn't got a chance to microphone check. Do you mind if I...
Yeah, let's see if that's them.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Microphone check for user Jani or Gani. Microphone check for a user Gani or Johnny, Gani. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't want to speak, I guess, so.
Let's move on.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next item is item 4, and this is a 2-part item, as there are 2 lots to be considered. This is to construct 2 fourplexes on 2 sites that had previously been subdivided. This is an application where in the first site there are 7 variances being requested, 3 of which have been reduced. On the second site, there are 7 variances being requested, 4 of which have been reduced. There's 1 letter of support. We have 14 letters of objection, and forestry is recommending refusal. There is a submission that's been submitted late on the online system, or late materials for panel members. And is Adam Layton our agent?
Correct. They're virtual, and all the area residents are present in the chambers.
Person.
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, so Mr. Layton.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Adam Layton. I'm an associate principal with Goldberg Group. Our offices are at 2098 Avenue Road. With respect to the proposed development, correct, we're here today to discuss 2 fourplex, quadruplex units on the properties known as 1090A and 1090B Kipling Avenue. These properties were previously created through the consent process in 2022. And it's notable that at that time, a road widening was requested by the city, which in part plays a role in some of the height variances. That has been conveyed to the city through the consent and would effectively pushes the front property line about 4.89 meters back into the lot. Moving to the next slide shows the subject site in context. The lot lines aren't quite showing up, so I have outlined them in red, but again, 1090A and 1090B. Moving forward to the next slide, we have the proposed site plan, which does illustrate the context of the property with the new lot lines in the front. And part of the technical rationale or complication of this site is that given the method of setting established grade, which measures it 0.1 meter out on either side of the property line, and in this case on either side of the overall property lines, not the new property lines established for the consent, and given the front yard setback is maintained, but from the new property line, it actually results in us having to calculate established grade from farther back into the adjacent lots, and in fact at the point where the existing dwellings are located. So as a result, the established grade is approximately 1 foot below ground, which drives up the height a little bit. Highly technical matter, I won't dwell on it. But suffice it to say, the proposal is to construct 2 multiplex dwellings as permitted through the zoning bylaw, through the expanding housing options in neighborhoods process. As the committee may be aware, the implementing zoning bylaw and official plan amendment were adopted and approved by City Council in 2023 and are in force and effect. There would be no parking provided as part of this proposal, again, because no parking is required through the zoning bylaw. I know that was of concern to a number of the residents. And I would also note that the implementation of the multiplex bylaw with respect to the maximum gross floor area, or variance 1 for both properties, is a bit of a technical issue as well. The implementing bylaw for the multiplexes, which permitted them citywide, did not establish a gross floor area limitation for such units. However, the gross floor area limitation for this site specifically is set through an exception, which I would suggest has fallen through the cracks. I think it's pretty clear the intent of council was not to limit the floor area of multiplex units. And in this case, considering we are not triggering any variances for the rear yard, the front yard, or lot coverage, combined with the rationale of the amendment to the parent bylaw, I would suggest that at least in my opinion as a planner, the increased gross floor area does meet the 4 tests. With respect to the side yards, we are seeking a reduction on the side yards to both the north and the south, which I've illustrated here. We would be maintaining a 1.2 meter side yard on both what I will call the external yards, or the yards on the ultimate north and ultimate south of the overall property, which again, I feel is a appropriate urban standard. It still maintains access around the lots to the rear yards. And then in between the 2 units is where we are seeking a reduction to 0.6 meters, but still the aggregate would be 1.8 meters on either lot. And I apologize, I have a typo on the presentation there. Moving on to the next slide, shows the variances related to height. Again, you can see the established grade line at the bottom of below the thick dark line. It is below what I would call ground surface. And we have worked very closely with planning staff to seek to reduce the overall height, which was reflected in the updated zone waiver and plans that were filed with the committee last week, and hopefully have made their way to your attention. What we've done is added an additional riser to the basement level to reduce the overall height by about 0.18 meters. That does bring down the overall height. Again, but we are still seeking an increase, and largely that's to provide a little taller floor to ceiling heights to permit more livable circumstances. I do see my time is running out, but if you would go with me, some of the other encroachments of the canopy and on the next slide of the front porch are also being considered. And then, sorry, if we could go back to the previous slide, one of the other variances which we had to look at was the height of the first floor above established grade. Again, established grade is below ground. And so we've worked with planning staff to try and bring that down as much as we can.
If I can just get you to wrap up,
Yep.
I realize
Certainly.
there's a lot to say, but
Yeah.
we can
Yep.
we can cover that in questions too.
Sure. So in that regard, we've brought while it's still above established grade by about 1.75 or 1.85, above actual ground, it would only be 1.4, whereas the standard is 1.2. So I feel that's also acceptable. I would be happy to answer any questions. Perhaps if I could speak to the arborist comments or the urban forestry comments through questions, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, actually, that is one of my questions. Given that forestry is requesting a refusal, can you, forestry is requesting a refusal. Can you please address that issue as to, or how you have been able to address their issue?
Certainly. So we've reviewed the report. The issue stems from one tree in the rear yard of the southern lot. I believe it's incorrectly labeled as tree 1. Our arborist report shows it as tree 10. This is a Norway maple, which our arborist has advised is considered an invasive species. Notwithstanding that, it is in conflict with the proposal. It was in conflict with the prior proposal for 2 singles on the lot. But I would suggest, given that there's no parking proposed, we have an 8-meter front yard and yards in excess of 16 or 17 meters, depending on the lot. I'd suggest there are ample opportunities for revegetation or planting of additional trees to make up for the loss of this tree and potentially with more desirable species.
Okay, thank you. Other members, questions before we go to other deputants?
Chair, I had a couple of questions. You asked one of the questions with respect to forestry. My second question was with respect to planning. You've had obviously conversations with planning. We have no planning report. Could you fill us in on what kind of conversations went on and what kind of input planning gave you other than input with respect to changes to the variances?
Certainly. As evidenced by the fact that there's no report today, planning has indicated to us that they were satisfied with the changes that we made. Again, most of the concerns were with respect to the overall height, but more specifically the height of the first floor above grade. And again, we were able to address those concerns by adding a further riser to the basement level and bringing down the overall height of the building marginally. I guess it should also be noted that through the expanding housing options and neighborhoods study that's ongoing, or EHON, some of the other changes that the committee may be aware of would be permitting 6-story apartment buildings as of right along major streets. Kipling Avenue is a major street. Obviously, that's not what we're proposing here today, but in that context, certainly we feel that the proposed heights are appropriate.
So just a follow-up question, Chair. As a professional planner, can you describe within a 15-minute radius of the site the type of uses that are there other than residential?
Certainly. Kipling Avenue, as you know, is a major street. Burnham Thorpe is also a major street. There are numerous bus routes that operate along both. Further south on Kipling Avenue, we get to to BLOOR Street, and further east along Burnham Thorpe, we get to Dundas Street, along which there are numerous commercial operations. BLOOR Street and Kipling, as you know, is being reconstructed. The road network is being reconstructed, and there is a number of high-density proposals in that area. So I do believe that this proposal represents an appropriate form of soft intensification with what I believe the media would refer to as a missing middle type of housing. I believe we do have that one letter of support, which kind of supports that position. And I would suggest that this property is in easy walking distance of a number of commercial and community amenities. And I would also advise of the small commercial strip a little further west on Burnham Thorpe at Market Grove.
And on that specific one, how long would it take for me or for anyone to walk from this location to Martin Grove Road along Burnham Thorpe? Would it take 15 minutes?
Based on what Google Maps is telling me, it would be about 12 minutes. It's about 900 meters.
12 minutes. And what would be the walking time from this location to BLOOR Street?
Bear with me 1 second. I will get that for you. It's about similar, about 950 meters or 13 minutes.
So I'd be able to walk it in 15 minutes.
It would appear to be the
Thank
case.
you.
I guess it would depend on one's walking speed.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'm going to open it up to other deputants. Before I do that, I just want to make clear that we are not here to discuss whether or not fourplexes can go on this site. That's already been decided by City Council. What we're reviewing are the variances listed in the application. I guess, is Helen Sowick our first? Welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Good morning. My name is Helen Sawick, and I am the owner of the house located at 1088 Kipling, which is the property directly south of the proposed development. My late husband and I purchased this property about 35 years ago, and we're excited to raise our children here and be part of the neighborhood. I do have objections to this proposal, and given what the committee council came back to us with, that we're strictly discussing the variances, there are some things that I do want to point out, so I hope you'll let me go through some of my objections. On July 10th, the builder submitted a zoning review. Does this waiver mean no further approvals are required, and can they proceed with constructing a fourplex or apartment on each parcel of land? On the same day, a set of drawings was posted on the Toronto website. 2 days later, another set of drawings appeared, likely in response to various objections posted by the community. I would ask if the builder does not have faith in what they are planning, and all of this happened a week before the public hearing. Because of the numerous changes, I was concerned, so I had the drawings reviewed by people who are more knowledgeable than I am. They pointed out numerous errors and discrepancies. Most notable for me are the references to both fourplex and apartment on the drawings. This is especially troublesome given that the drawings on page A3 and A4 for building 1090B show only kitchens and no bedrooms on levels 2 and 3. Why are there 6 kitchens and shown for 4 units? Is the ultimate plan to turn one of these buildings into 6 units with some studio apartments? Why were the floor plans for both units conveniently omitted from the July 12th drawings? Plus, there's no indication as to whether these will be rental units or condominiums. As a citizen of the city, do I not deserve the right to know what is being planned next door to me? Should the committee decide to proceed with the review of existing plans despite the concerns that have been mentioned, I strongly object to the variances outlined in the public notice issued July 8th. I strongly object to the increase in floor area, which is significantly larger compared to the allowable amount. This will greatly impact the amount of space that the buildings will occupy and will encroach on neighboring homes, impacting privacy. And again, it's been mentioned, but I'd like to point out that Urban Forestry has already denied this variance on July 5th. The decreased side yard setback will encroach further into my property and may create flooding problems, especially given what we encountered 2 days ago in the city. I myself had a minor flood. What studies have been done to evaluate the slope of the land from front to back with regards to flooding? The proposed building height is not clear to me given the number of revisions, including 2 last week. None seem to comply with the maximum permitted height of 10 meters. In the July 10th drawing, the proposed height for the sidewalls far exceeds the allowable height by more than 2 meters. That does not seem very minor to me. The proposed height of the above first grade floor again appears to be almost double the permitted height. And what about the reviews with the fire marshal? My property is next door, so I really have a vested interest. I do recognize the need to address the shortage of housing in Toronto. I still have adult children living at home. However, it doesn't make sense to squeeze 2 buildings on such narrow lots when there is an abundance of major development less than 1 kilometer away that will provide hundreds, if not thousands, additional units. For example, you've got Kipling and Dundas, 6 Points Plaza, the Dundas Street Grill location, Joplin and Bloor, Cloverdale. I'm sure there are many more that I have not mentioned. How much more congestion can the area accommodate? Imagine the additional traffic in an already busy intersection. Since parking is not provided, where will the residents and visitors park? It's unrealistic to assume that there will be no cars involved. The overflow seems to always end up in my driveway. And that brings me to the garbage that will be generated. How will this be handled? If we are to assume that the 3 bins are allocated per unit, there will be 24 garbage bins out front. Finally, there's no serious attempt to provide adequate landscaping to the front or the back of the buildings. And again, I hope the committee will have an opportunity to take a look and look at the impact of this, not only on me and how it affects my property. I hope you will do the right thing. I would ask that you reject these variances, and I hope you will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I noticed the drawings as well. In fact, I had a note to ask the applicant, but I believe that was an error. But just to answer your question, what they're asking for now is 2 fourplexes. We're not, under the current zoning bylaw, they would not be permitted to do more than those 4. Well, so that may change with a new bylaw amendment that's in the process. Anyway, that's
Okay.
just
I would ask
current
you-
reality. We will get the applicant to respond at the end of everyone else's deputations.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there the next person in person here?
Mr. Chair, the next person can be Elizabeth Burry.
Okay. Okay, welcome.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Burry. I live at 225 Burnhamthorpe Road. I appreciate the committee giving me time to voice my observations and concerns. I understand the need to increase housing options, but it's important that we strike a balance in the community in light of these reforms. My concerns are as follows: density. I know that you've already spoken. I'll read what I've said in the note. Density. The proposal is 8 units on a 50-foot lot. The existing house already exists. It's one house already. The proposal is a huge change to our existing community. 1090 Kipling, as I already said, is a detached house, and the lot has apparently been severed as of August 22. Can these documents be placed on file for the public to view? And is there a time limit to this being severed? Because from what I'm gathering, and I'm doing a very quick Reader's Digest, sorry about that.
The severance has already taken place, so they can build 2 houses.
So they can build. Okay, that's what I wanted.
We're not here. That's not up for discussion.
Okay, no, I totally understand. I just wanted to ask the question. Thank you. So the setback. Why is the properties that are being proposed being set well back? I think there's a little bit of a concern about that because they're not in line with the other properties. And, you know, down the road, we're just a bit suspicious it's suddenly going to come a big parking lot. The garbage, how does this work? I'm not familiar with this, and I'm sure as a committee, maybe you're a little bit more aware of all these new bylaws. But if you have 8 units on a very small area, that's 16 bins per week. So just wanted to pass that out to you. And the question is parking, where there's no parking. They've said there's no parking, but then where are they expected to park? Because cars are a reality, right? So I just wanted to pass that out to you too, because I know that's been a problem, and I've heard it from other developers too, where I know it's not needed and they've taken it away, but we're just concerned about Burnhamthorpe. I'm on Burnhamthorpe, Kipling, where this is proposed. I'm very close in proximity of, and if cars park, it becomes a very dangerous intersection. I've seen many accidents over that time. And is it realistic to expect residents at its location to live car-free? If residents will be reliant on other modes, perhaps secure bike parking could be a solution. The building height and the other variants is already mentioned by Hallett and Sarwick, noted early. We feel might need further review from your committee. And I think somebody already mentioned about the walking distance. Everything's probably a good 15 minutes or whatever. It's not like the corner store's that close. And finally, the forestry department has just denied the proposal, so I hope the committee take that into account. And just one question, I'm not familiar with this, is why was the zoning review waived? Not sure what that actually means, but there are 7 minor variances, so somebody can answer to that one. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Sorry, any questions from panel members before you go?
Sorry.
The waiver, I think, was just, that's the applicant's choice. They can have the city review it, or they can take their chances at committee. So that was just to answer that one.
So it doesn't really mean anything, it's just time delay?
It just means that they've chosen to waive that.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
The applicant will take responsibility for that they have the right variances.
Okay. Okay.
They go by waiver.
Okay. So can I just ask a question? So in regard to the land being severed and it's already been approved.
That was approved in 20.
It's already approved, right? So we can only deal with it. And we understand that. It's just now it's going to be, I think our concern is the 8 units in a small proximity, in a small land lot.
Yeah, I mean, that, and that's really why the variances come into play.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, essentially, they can build 2 houses there. So it's a question of what 2 houses they can build. And with the new bylaws, 2 fourplexes are permitted.
Okay.
In fact, they could actually add garden suites to that in addition to the 2
Yeah, no, I've read all this. So for my question, it was more about the severance of the land, and is this
the severance is done. That's
done.
That's
what I wanted to know.
That's done.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Next speaker will be Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Mary Snydero. I live at 1091 Kipling, which is directly across the street.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Sorry?
Your address?
1091 Kipling, directly across the street from the proposed monstrosity, as I like to refer to it. I understand. I had this whole thing prepared, but given what you've just said to me and the bylaws that have just been passed, and how convenient that this unit or double units has waited until now to resubmit an application, I find that kind of perplexing. If I go to what the planners are saying and go to the 4 tests that they follow: conformity to the general intent of the official plan, conformity to the general intent of the zoning bylaw, is the request relief minor in nature, and 4, is proposed use desirable. Well, I think you have about 18 letters saying that it is not desirable. I don't see how any of these things apply to your 4 tests. It doesn't conform to any of the physical characteristics of the area. It exceeds anything that's there. You're not giving the neighbors, I mean, I've lived there for 60 years. In fact, I lived at 1091 or 1092 before I moved across the street. I don't understand how we have no rights as residents who have been here. This is just being rammed down our throats. Can someone address that for me? Do you not look at that?
That's why you're here today.
Okay.
If it was being rammed down your throat, you wouldn't have an opportunity to make this requirement.
Fine, I take that point. You can understand my passion for this place. I live here. I have a garden. I have a parking, a driveway. I have trees. You're taking all that away from my neighbors. You're taking away the sunlight. You're taking away the privacy. How is this acceptable?
I think that's a question for City Council. They are the ones that passed a new bylaw which allows this kind of intensification, particularly on major streets. It's not for us to decide that. All we can decide is whether what is being proposed, if it's exceeding what the bylaw is, what the issue is with that excess.
Well, and this, in your opinion, is not exceeding what the bylaw is?
Well, we're going to make our decision after you make your submission, after the applicant makes his submission.
Well, all I can say is I hope you take into consideration the neighbors, the neighborhood, and having some respect for our rights. Other than that, I think it's pointless. I know all these bylaws have been passed, but I didn't move here when all these bylaws they were different. It was a community, and I understand progress, but I don't understand the need to take away all the neighbors' rights. It just seems ludicrous, and to think that there won't be parking given to 8 units. You know, let's be realistic.
Again, that's a decision that was made by city council, not by us.
Okay, well,
What we want you to do is to detail to us the impact to you, the impact of no parking, for example.
The impact of no parking is the fact that people do drive, and they do drive and park illegally, which they have been doing on our driveways, specifically the adjoining properties. The house now is being used as a rooming house, and there's people coming and going at all hours of the day and night. So, yeah, that has nothing to do with the variances, I understand that, but it does have to do with whoever owns this property and what they're, how they're looking after it at the moment, and what's going to change when they put 8 units in there. Are they going to be there to maintain a clean sidewalk, or put the garbage bins away, or make sure that someone doesn't park there at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, or on our properties, prohibiting us from exiting? That's really all I have to say, because the rest is pointless. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else? I have no one else.
One more, actually, on the next page over is Aaron.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning. I live at 1089 Kipling Avenue, which is just across the street. I am Erin Caracostas. I am a resident of the area since 1986. I raised a family. Things have been addressed, and my notes were objecting the low-rise apartment buildings, which is exactly what it is. So what I want to say is this. As a long-term resident, all of us have spent thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to upkeep our homes, to keep our properties looking beautifully landscaped, to basically add to the beauty of Kipling. Kipling is a very busy street, but from BLOOR all the way up to Eglinton, it's strictly residential, and it's single-family dwellings. So all of a sudden now, we're going to have to look at this monstrosity, as my neighbor Mary called it. No parking. Okay. We live in a very big city. Everybody drives. And you're going to have couples that are going to have 2 cars. They are going to encroach on our properties. I have a driveway, a very long driveway, and I have had people park there in the middle of the night where I had to do what I had to do to chase them away. So we're going to have more of a disturbance in our neighborhood. Also, the side streets. Those people are not going to be very happy when they park their cars on the side streets, because when people move in, they buy or they rent, they are going to have visitors there. So I find that there is no respect or regard for our neighborhood.
Parking enforcement is going to be busy.
Yes. I'm really saddened that the quadruplex has been approved. What I would like to see happen, since the property has been severed, to instead just raise the 2 single dwellings, because that what you see from BLOOR all the way to Eglinton is single family dwellings.
The city is hoping that that's going to change.
I've heard you, sir. I know, but I wanted to say it.
I know.
You know, and in terms of affordable housing, there's no such thing as affordable housing in our area. I mean, these are going to be very, very pricey units. People build for money. And in terms of our neighborhood, as one of my neighbors have stated, we have construction everywhere. The Kipling area station, the Islington subway station, Cloverdale is going to start, 6 Points, etc., etc. So that point is moot. What I would like to see, for me, since the property has been severed, is to have 2 single dwellings like everybody else, in keeping with the beauty of our neighborhood. We're very proud of our neighborhood. I mean, why are we spending money to have a green space and all of a sudden this guy comes in with no green space in the front? I mean, how? How is that?
There are requirements for green space, and I don't see a variance for that.
And to have green space in the back, what's the point?
There as well. And I think with the flooding that we recently had, we're all cognizant of the fact that green space is needed.
The lady right next door that she couldn't attend because her mother's in the hospital, Suzanne Goodall, she was flooded knee deep on this recent waterfall that we had. I call it a waterfall, the rain. And all because of the property at 1090, the way it is now. If there is more of a disturbance to the landscape, can you imagine what's going to happen to her house? That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, there actually is 2 other folks that were late signups.
Sure.
So we can do John first.
Did you want to speak? No?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, John at 113 Pernin Ave?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes. Thank you. I wasn't prepared to speak.
Well, good morning.
Anyways, good morning. I'm just in support of these people.
Can we get your full name?
John Ditz Ballas, 113 Predin
Can we do a reset on the time, please?
We're 1 street behind the proposed, and I agree with the people here. It's just going to change our landscape, our neighborhood. They're all single-family homes, and it just should be rejected. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there one more?
There is, Mr. Chair. Marguerite Wynn. Monica. For 57 Hardman Drive.
No, I emailed you this morning, Adam, that I wanted to attend. Veronica Capel from 109 Brennan.
Well, if you want to come up, you can give your name and address, and you can still.
Thank you. Is Margaret here? Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Hi, my name is Veronica Capel, and I live at 109 Brennan. It is a property that is directly backing onto the split lot. More specifically, we'll be backing onto 1090B Kipling. We have recently moved to this home after some renovations, so we have worked with our architect to stay within the city variances. So I am a little bit familiar with this work. However, this is not my line of work, so my expertise is very limited. My objections to the actual proposal were mostly, I just realized that the fourplex is not for discussion, which is okay at this point. I was hoping it would be more of a duplex. But when we talk about big picture, so it's going to change the landscape of the neighborhood. It's going to change it's going to impact all of our privacy. There was no proposal for higher fences. As you can see, City of Forestry Department has denied this, given the fact that the trees in the back are going to be impacted. And as you have seen in the news, our Mayor Olivia Chow has noted how important the green density is to the city, preventing flooding, among other things, and keeping our city green. For the removal of the trees in the back, I have a picture, but I can't share it. Our backyard got flooded, and there was a pool of water. My daughter said, finally, we're getting a pool. I'm like, no, it's not happening. But the point is that if they are removing further trees, because we have a lot of trees that are backing onto our fence from 1090 Kipling, there's going to be a lot more flooding because the soil is not supported by the roots, as you understand that. So that's some of our concerns. With regards to variances, so, everybody says this is big, but how big is this? So really, I looked at the variance. What's a reasonable variance? Is it 5%? Is it 2%? Well, I started looking at the variances that the planner has posted in the minor variance waiver. And first one, with regards to the height, the maximum height for the city building that's allowed up to 4-story is 10 meters. The proposed height is 11.18, which is 12% over the variance. Okay, so this one seems like, okay, it's a little bit up there. But as we move down on the variances, they start getting higher in percentages. 32% in terms of maximum height of pair of main walls neighboring to each other. Then we have the third variance was 40 and 66% change. So they're not asking for minor variances that are reasonable, and that's why they're coming to Committee of Adjustments. These are significant. The 4 variants are 75% and 76% of what's currently allowed by the bylaw. So I'm just asking if they are willing to go with this project. I'm just asking they stay within the bylaw and the variances that are allowed at this time, as we did when we we renovated our home this year. So I think those are the biggest things. I mean, yes, I really care about the value of our neighborhood, being residential neighborhood. I fully support city building more affordable homes. I mean, I have kids. I want them to live close by so I can watch my grandkids. Never know it's going to happen. But there's condos being built on Kipling and BLOOR and Dundas, where the new Etobicoke Civic Center is going to be. And there's a lot of commercial lots that got transformed into multi-unit complexes and condos. So again, Kipling being a major road, that's fine, but it's not within the character of the neighborhood, and there's a lot of affordable building being built. And I know that Adam Layton from Goldberg Group mentioned
Okay,
that...
can I get you to wrap up, please?
I'm so sorry. He just mentioned that there's a lot of units being built on Dundas, Kipling, and BLOOR, but he forgot to mention that most of those units are being built out of a commercial lots, not out of residential lots. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I just want to make one comment. A lot of your concerns are focused on the height, and I understand that. Within a month, we're going to have new zoning bylaws, which will actually make all of those legal. We don't know if today that's not before us, so what we're looking at is what is under review today. But the change that's happened from 2022 to now is substantive, and I think people are expressing concern around that. The next change is going to be even more substantive, and in some degree, it's, the applicant. If we deny this, the applicant come back in a couple of months, and a lot of these variances will be no longer.
Mm-hmm.
So just a comment. Okay.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from panel members? Okay, if we can get, is there anyone else to speak to this item? Okay, if we can get Mr. Layton back for a rebuttal then.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you mentioned, I'm not going to comment on the use provisions. I think council has spoken quite clearly about the desire to expand housing options, and this the fourplex units are, as you mentioned, permitted. So we are not seeking relief from that. I was taking notes. I will try to go through all the issues, but I do apologize if I miss any. There was a number of references to removing green space and removing trees. I want to be clear, only one tree is being removed in the rear yard. It is a Norway maple, which is considered an invasive species. The balance of the trees, particularly in the rear yard, abutting Brennan Avenue, specifically Veronica mentioned that, there are, by our arborist report, 5 trees that are going to be retained in situ. They are not going to be touched. They will be preserved behind the appropriate fencing. Similarly, the front yard is entirely landscaped. There is no provision for parking, as I've mentioned. So in terms of loss of green space, I would suggest there is none. If anything, it would in fact be, I suggest, an increase in green space. I did provide in my presentation, I believe it's on the next slide, an indication of how some of the landscape features that are going to be, or the inspiration for some of the landscaping, to show how the walkway would be incorporated into landscaping to address the grade change to minimize the perceived impact of the height of the first floor. And I would also suggest that through the normal course of the building permit process, the grading plans, the stormwater management plan, the concerns with respect to flooding and stormwater would be addressed. Anecdotally, it's been my experience that in situations like this, where there's an existing neighborhood with conditions, when new development occurs, it does represent an improvement because we are able to bring the grading and stormwater management standards up to more current standards than presently exist. With respect to the comments about garbage collection, this would be collected similar to any other dwelling on the street. It would be curbside collection. I'm sure through the detailed design, there would be opportunities to create a suitable enclosure to ensure that the waste receptacles, if they have to be in the front yard, are sufficiently screened. There's also sufficient room in the rear yards of each of the dwelling units, and the side yards would provide a suitable access for them to be brought around on collection day. I cannot comment on the parking. So as you mentioned, Mr. Chair, there is always an opportunity if people are misbehaving to call in bylaw enforcement or parking enforcement. We are, again, not providing any parking on the property. Tenants would be informed of that at the time of leasing or purchasing. And again, this is in keeping with the desire of council to promote active transportation and transit use by switching to maximum parking rates rather than minimum parking rates. And as I've noted, there are a multitude of transit opportunities operating along both Burnham Thorpe and Kipling Avenue. I believe that's all the comments that I had. Oh, there was a question about the front yard setback, why the units are pushed so far back. Again, that is a highly technical matter, but noting that about a 4.89 meter road widening was conveyed to the city through the consent, that establishes a new property line, which you can see on the drawing here. The minimum front yard requirement of 8 meters, which is determined based on the average of the lots to the north and the south, still applies from this new property line, and we are complying with it. So that is the rationale, and as I've indicated again, we are meeting the front yard and rear yard requirements as well as the overall lot coverage requirement. So in my opinion, these and as we've outlined in our supporting materials, the requested variances do meet the 4 tests, in my opinion, as a professional planner. As the committee is aware, the determination of what is minor is not simply a matter of numbers. And I would suggest it should not be treated as such. We've provided a rationale for why we feel that the minor test has been satisfied, as well as the remaining 3 tests. I'm happy to answer any further questions. And again, apologies if I missed any issues.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, and then I'll turn it over to committee members. Is any bicycle parking being provided on site?
We haven't specified anything specific, but there is certainly more than ample opportunity to provide bike parking, either in the rear, ideally in the rear yard, I guess.
Do you know if there'll be any intent to do garden suites, and if not, maybe some enclosed bicycle parking could be provided?
It's my understanding is at least at present, there's no intent to do an additional garden suite on these lots, but certainly bike parking could be incorporated into the building through the permit process.
Okay, and my biggest concern with the variances is the FSI. And I was actually surprised to see that variance because I thought it had been eliminated for multiplexes, but there is an exception. Can you enlighten us as to what this exception is all about?
Certainly. So the exception, and I'll just pull it up here if you'll give me a moment, but it is an area-specific exception. I believe it's exception 21, which is not part of the parent. You are correct that the multiplex bylaw did remove GFA limitations on multiplex units. I'm just pulling that exception up here, but it does establish a, here we go. So the area-specific exception stipulates a maximum GFA of 135 square meters plus 25% of the lot area up to a maximum floor space index of 0.5. So this differs from the parent bylaw as amended by the multiplex bylaw, which, as you indicated.
And do you know for how large of an area that exception applies to?
I can pull up the zoning review we had done for the property. I believe it's outlined there. If you'll bear with me a second. Sorry, apologies. Please bear with me. So the maximum GFA that would be permitted on the property.
I don't need a specific answer.
sorry.
I'm just trying to figure out whether it's, very concentrated, or if it's for a good portion of Kipling Avenue, or just trying to get
sorry.
some context for that.
My apologies. Yes, I misunderstood the question. Exception 21 applies for all the properties fronting along the west side of Kipling Avenue from Burnham Thorpe to just north of Mattis Avenue.
Sorry, from Burnham
seems to
Thorpe
be-
to Mattis.
To just north of Mattis, which is the next block south of Goswell, which is this block. Perhaps I don't know if I can share my screen.
I don't see.
So it's the full block of Kipling between Burnham Thorpe and Goswell, including the subject property, and then another block, another
Oh, I see. Okay, so the two
nine properties.
the 2 blocks south of Burnham Thorpe on the west side.
Not quite the full 2 blocks, but yes, generally yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the context of that.
Oh, sorry, and it does also apply, in fact, that applies, actually, I'm mistaken, sorry, it looks like it applies from Kipling to the east, Burnham Thorpe to the north, and with some slight exceptions extending all the way to almost to the East Mall, and then down south of BLOOR. So this little area in around BLOOR, or I guess,
But not
Dundas and
north of Burnham Thorpe, though, right?
no, it does not appear to be
Okay.
north of Burnham Thorpe.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to panel members for questions.
Mr. Chair, there was also the issue of the discrepancy in the plans because they do show 6 kitchens.
Yeah, sorry. But those were you've revised your plans, have you not? Like, you're not looking at 6 units at this point?
That is correct, and I think this might simply be a matter of a compilation issue and putting the packages together.
Because it looked like you basically had 2 page 3s instead of a page 4 there, or something like
Yes.
that.
And I believe that's what happened. One of the sets for 1090A does show, I mean, they're essentially the same floor plans, does show the correct 3rd floor, which has 2 bedrooms within each of units C and D.
Yeah, I had that note as well, but then the revised drawings are correct, are they not? They're not.
No, it's the revised drawings, which has the compilation error.
Okay, so technically, we're not approving the drawings, we're approving the variances. So, Madam Secretary Treasurer, we're still okay with that, or do they need to provide revised drawings?
They should provide them for the record, but then there's the concern you can't tie them to plans because you don't have the correct plans in front of you.
Right. Yeah, and obviously, I mean, if we're approving a 4-plex, you can't have a 6-plex.
Correct. I would suggest, Mr. Chair, if there isn't a desire to tie us to plans, perhaps it could be clarified that the floor plans specifically the floor plans for 1090A apply to both sites, rather than, the site plan is essentially, are correct for each. It's
Okay,
just for-
you know what, we'll worry about that later when we get to motions, but I did have that note, and then I took it out thinking that you had corrected it, but thank you for our manager for pointing it out that it hasn't been corrected. Okay. Any other questions then?
I have a question for the applicant. You mentioned that you can't look at the percentages with variances and so on, which is correct, but you also did not mention that individual variances can be minor, but taken in their totality, they are not necessarily minor. And there's been rulings on that in the past.
That is correct. Apologies, I did not mean to imply otherwise, but certainly it's still my opinion that to even taken as a whole, particularly given a number of these variances are as a result of, or at least the magnitude of these variances are as a result of technical interpretation of the bylaw, that they would still either individually or collectively still meet the 4 tests.
The other aspect, of course, of variances is to look at the impact, and that's why I've asked a couple of times about the impact to the individual neighborhood was presented. So my concern is that the variances in their totality are not minor, the way it's out, and taking into account the impact of those variances in their totality.
Okay, I think that's more of a discussion than a question. So
That's why I don't
at this point, I'm trying to get questions, and then we can have our discussion when we take it into committee.
Okay.
So are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Ross, go ahead.
Well, I would move to refuse the application on the grounds that doesn't meet the test of the variances being minor, and it has to meet all 4 tests, not just one of the tests.
Okay. I wanted to have a little bit, just given the complexity of this issue, I thought we should have a little bit of discussion before we go to motion.
I'm prepared to take that off the floor.
Okay, thank you. My only comments, I mean, maybe I'll kick off the discussion. I mean, I find the application to be appropriate. My concern is with regards to the FSI, because the only way I can interpret that is to read in that council is intending to do some kind of control and keeping this to a similar nature of the neighborhood. I mean, if that variance were not there, I would say that this application does meet the 4 tests, but to go from 0.5 to 1.17, in my view, is not minor. And I'll leave it up to committee members for further discussion.
Yeah, I would agree with your comments, Mr. Chair. I would add, I'm also concerned with the overall height and the main wall height. And, you know, I know a lot has changed in the last couple of years in terms of 4plexes being permitted throughout the city. But one thing that has not changed is the need to make sure that the variances proposed to accommodate 4plexes are still indeed minor. And in this case, this committee, less than 2 years ago, refused a GFA of 283 meters squared, now proposed 365. An overall height of 9.75 meters, currently proposed 11.18, and a main wall height of 8.3, now proposed at 9.9. So 20 months ago, this committee felt that the application at that time for 2 single-family dwellings, one on each of the proposed lots, were not minor, were not appropriate development, were not in general compliance with the official plan or the zoning bylaw. I think the only thing that's really changed in the last 4 years is the fact that, yes, 4plexes are allowed on these and any other lot zoned residential in the city of Toronto. But what has not changed, and it may, but to date it has not changed, is the official plan, which states, and I think this is important because it really sort of hinges on my overall feeling about this application. So I find the statements in another application, but Okay, the official plan, and it may well be amended in the next few months or a year, but right now, what we have to deal with, I believe, right now is what the official plan says. It says that no changes will be made through rezoning, minor variances, consent, or other public action that are out of keeping with the overall physical character of the entire neighborhood. Now, the physical character of this neighborhood, as you all well know better than I do, I live a few blocks east of you, but I know your neighborhood. It's 1.5, 2-story buildings, 50-foot lots, single-family detached dwellings. That's the character of Burnham Thorpe down to Bloor Street. What is proposed here is not, I believe, in character with the existing character of the neighborhood. This is a 3-story building. It's a lot taller, it's a lot narrower, and it's a lot bigger. So I think I'm leaning toward making it apparent how I feel about this application, but I'd certainly like to hear from my colleagues.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Anyone else?
I think that Mr. Taylor kind of summarized what I was trying to get at as well. Is when you take all the variances together, he listed several in terms of size and so on. And
For sure. I mean, personally, I'm not concerned about the height because I think the height issue is going to wash itself out with the next installment of EHON. But the fact that there is an exception in this area concerns me to approve this. And for that reason, I'd be reluctant to do it as well. Also, my pet peeve of side yard setbacks on new construction being, less than what I think is reasonable.
which again fits what Mr. Taylor was saying about the
Absolutely,
character of the neighborhood.
absolutely. I think we're coming at it from two different ways, but coming to the same conclusion.
So given that, and I don't want to step on the chair's feet in terms of wanting discussion.
I think we're done. We're good.
Okay. And I would move that the variances are not minor. It is out of character with the area, and so to move to refuse the application.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ross. Is there a second?
Second it.
And that's for both applications?
Yeah,
For A and B?
For A and B.
I'd second both applications for A and B.
Thank you, Ms. Reddick. All in favor? Okay, the application is refused. Thank you, everyone. I think if we can take a 10-minute break and then we can see if we can find from number 3.
Mr. Chair, we have got number 3 figured out, so when we come back, we can
Okay, thank
dive
you.
right into number 3.
Or do you want to do that now? Okay.
It's 10:45 or 10:54 right now, but do 10 minutes, so 11:05 we come back at?
11:05,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to take a short recess, and we'll reconvene at 11:05.
Why?
All right, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
We're going to look to get started here. If members could get their cameras on, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, welcome back. We skipped number 3. I believe we've now found the agent.
Correct.
Number 3 is 18 MOULD Avenue. This is an application to legalize and maintain a shed at the rear of the dwelling. There are 4 variances being requested. Metrolinx has advisory comments. There is an order to comply, and planning is recommending refusal.
The agent for this is Richie Kana, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Kana, are you there?
I am here. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. If you could...
Calls in the background for interrupting me. Yes, could continue.
All right. Given that there's a negative planning report, I think it'd be in your interest to give us a full presentation.
Yeah, so I did see these comments here from planning. My concern is that this, like the house is existing. The structure that is built is in line with the existing house, which is the current setback there at 0.21. 0.21. So I wasn't clear as to why planning was refusing. The side yard setback, because that is the existing setback of the existing house that's been built like maybe 100 years ago. The building length, that addition is already currently attached to that house. The only thing they did was enclose the space that was underneath the rear addition. The landscaping, those are the 3 items that I believe, 1, 2, 3, minimum rear yard soft landscaping as well. Everything was at the house prior to my clients purchasing this property. The existing garage was there, the hard surface walkways were already implemented.
Do you have anything else to say, or are you ready for questions?
I'm ready for questions, sir.
Okay, so I'm just looking at your site plan, and there it's saying
Yes.
existing shed to be demolished. So are you removing some of it? Or it's already demolished?
Sorry, where are you reading that? Existing.
I'm looking at it says existing site plan.
Okay, you're looking at the existing site plan, yeah.
And there's a portion there that says existing shed to be demolished.
That is correct. Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Okay, has that been demolished?
It has not been yet.
Okay. Is your client planning on demolishing that?
We are planning on demolishing it, yes.
So what you're asking for is 10 feet 3 inches beyond the existing house to be maintained, is that correct?
Correct. That is correct, yes.
Okay, and that seems to go right to the property line, is that correct as well?
It basically, yes, it does go right to the property line.
You mentioned that there was.
I think there's about an 8-inch space there. It looks like there is about 8 1/4 in
Okay,
space.
so then on the proposed site plan, you're looking at a new shed that extends all the way back to the area that's to be demolished.
Correct. Just the shed portion underneath.
Okay, so this isn't something that your client has purchased and it was as it is. I mean, you're obviously looking at making some changes.
No, not this portion. Yes, not this portion. But I mean like the the existing 2-car garage at the back, the driveway to that garage, etc. That was all existing. Not this portion.
Okay,
No.
but I'm confused because you've got an order to comply. You're asking to legalize. So you're looking at rebuilding what was already there.
Yes, it's the attached. It's basically a covered. Roof hang, right? And then the shed below. We're gonna roll up the wall now below it, so it has the roof over it.
You're kind of breaking up, but I'm just trying to look at your drawings now. So is this going to be part of the house or is it going to be separate from the house?
It's separate from the house, but the roof is attached.
Okay.
To that existing bump out, that's that addition. So they just filled in the gap to the right of it, and then the length. And then it's enclosed with 4 walls, that section, which they plan just to keep it open instead of being a shed.
Okay, so you're not enclosing the walls now?
We're not enclosing the walls, no.
Okay, so you're just looking at a covered patio then?
Correct.
But do we have drawings that reflect that?
I think the drawings here just still show the existing walls that are in place on the proposed shed. If you go down to the drawings that are
Okay, but
at A105.
If you're not building any walls, it's not going to be a shed.
Well, the walls are currently in place.
Okay, I don't understand what you're doing now.
Pre-existing before. So the existing structure is there, right? Already standing. And it already has the roof attached to that, to the existing house.
So what are you changing?
We don't want to change anything.
Well, then why are you here?
Because of these, I guess it's built too close. As you can see, the minor variance comments.
You mentioned that the original or the current owner, this was in place before, but this is a legalize and maintain.
No, not this was in place, sir. The only thing that was in place was that I'm talking about landscape. Like one of the items on your list here is 3 items. One refers to the landscaping, that it's not meeting landscape requirements of 50%, right? So that's not necessarily due to the shed. It was never meeting the required landscape due to all the covered concrete surface and the exterior garage at the rear.
Okay, so the landscaping's not going to change because what is already hardscaped is hardscaped.
Correct. I'm here to address the committee, not the structure element of it. I'm here to address the committee's concern about items 1, 2, and 3. Right?
Okay.
You're here to address everything. This is an application that you've agreed to represent. And
I agree. All other items have been approved, though, by committee staff, have they not?
no, the
It was only
committee's
3
making
items
a
that are
decision on your
in-
application. Nothing has been approved.
Okay, I guess in favor then.
Okay, your client has constructed a wood frame canopy and put a roof over top of it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was done without a building permit, correct?
That's right. Yes.
All right. So it's not, so what you're saying is the landscaping deficiency existed when your client purchased the house. We understand
That's
that.
right.
But the shed was
Okay.
not there. That was constructed now. And you're asking now to
That was
legalize.
constructed now.
And now you're asking to legalize what was constructed by your client. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That
thank
is
you.
correct, yes.
I think we've kind of clarified that. Okay. Is there access from the shed to the house?
No, not at all.
Okay. And what's the purpose of the shed?
It's literally being just storage, equipment, for yard, store furniture. It's completely unfinished. It's in complete studs, just with the exterior sheeting and siding on it.
Okay.
There's no drywall, there's no electrical.
And you understand that the variance for length is being created because this has been attached to the house?
That's correct, yeah, because it's already there's already a roof overhang, and it's attached to that roof overhang. Continues.
There already is because it's already been constructed, but it wasn't originally.
Yeah, well, if you see the drawing there, you'll see there's an addition at the back rear, right, of this house.
Yes. But
And
you've
it's attached to this addition.
yeah, it's also attached to the main house, is it not?
That is also correct, yeah.
Okay. And it extends well beyond that addition.
That's correct.
Yeah.
By about, about 11 feet.
Have you or your client spoken with either of your immediate neighbors?
To my knowledge, there was some discussion, but I don't recall any issues from what they had told me.
Okay, my concern is the side yard setback, but okay, so you don't know if that's been discussed or not. Okay, I think we kind of have a clear picture now. Any other questions? Just trying to see what is planning's rationale for refusal?
Well, they say it's not desirable, and right.
Okay.
And soft landscaping these days becomes more and more important.
And we have to consider this as if it has not been built yet.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I'm familiar with this area. I know that there's a lot of landscaping deficiencies in this area, and I'm sympathetic to the fact that the, applicant purchased it that way. However, I still do have concerns with the side yard setback. So those are my comments.
If you're at the motion stage, I share the concerns that's been identified by the planning staff, both with respect to the side yard setback and the soft landscaping. So if there's no discussions, I'd be prepared to make a motion at this stage.
Okay, I just have one last question for the agent, and that is, why was the shed not constructed in line with the north wall of the existing house? Like, why have you projected beyond that? there any rationale for that?
There's no real rationale. I believe it's in line with the house. It's just, I believe there's a projection of the eave that's a little bit further out.
Well, if you look at your site plan, it doesn't show it as being in line. The
If that is
walls,
looking at it from the overall roof, the roof plan, right? The
no, I'm
walls are
looking,
in line.
well, then you're
Yeah, you're
drawing,
looking at the site plan.
I'm looking at drawing number A1.05.
Okay, A1.
Now that's showing me a wall. It's not showing me a roof.
Yeah, I see that there.
Right, so,
But I believe the actual roof. I can clarify that for you. But I believe the roof overhang is the roof, but the wall is actually in line with the house.
No, it's not. The photos show that it's not.
It's
You
not.
should be
Okay.
familiar with your proposal when you're presenting to the committee. Because
I
I think
understand
you're
that. Yeah, I'm just
confusing
gonna-
them more than clarifying answers.
Yeah. Okay, you're right. I'm looking at that now. Sorry, brother.
okay, so obviously then you don't know the
The
rationale.
rationale behind that, I don't know. I think the only thing that he mentioned was he wanted to block off the access on the one side. From that, there's like a 8-inch or 10-inch opening on that one side, and instead of having that open, they decided to block it in.
Okay.
That's my that's what I recall in my discussion at that point. There's
Okay.
like there's a very small gap between
Yeah,
the
no, I
house
can
and
see
the
that
fence,
from the photos now. I understand, yeah. So he's
right?
essentially,
So
so he's,
so he blocked it off from stragglers or something. I briefly recall the conversation asking him this, and he said, because I didn't want people walking through here.
well, I think a gate at the front would do that too, but anyway.
That would do that too. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Are you prepared for the motion now?
I'm good for a motion now.
Okay. I shared the concerns of the planning staff with respect to the side yard setback and the soft landscaping, and for those reasons, I move to refuse this application. It doesn't meet the 4 tests.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Reddick. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Yeah, I'll second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Ross, all in favor? Okay, the application is refused. Thank you.
Opposed, Mr. Gully, right?
Oh, opposed?
Is it refused? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're voting on whether to refuse. Are you in favor of refusal?
No, I'm not.
You're not. Okay. So you're opposed, you're in favor of approval.
I'm opposed to the motion
To refuse. Okay. So the motion carries on a split decision. The application is still refused.
So not a split decision, just not unanimous.
Not unanimous,
Thank
sorry.
Sorry, Chair.
No worries. I just want to get some notes down, sorry. That was Rick and Sophie? Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we're moving on to item 5. 46 Northampton Drive. This is an application for a new garage in the rear yard. There are 2 variances being requested. We have 2 letters of objection. There's an arborist report, and a building permit was issued for the main house in January of 2024. This is for the garage only. And we have an agent online, Stefan.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, committee members.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Stefan.
Can you give us a brief overview of your application, given that there are some objections to it, and perhaps you could address those objection letters if you've read them?
Yeah, I read the objection letters. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I only have two variances here. One is for the overall GFA is kind of a weird variance due to the zoning exception that applies only on the street or the surrounding area. It's saying pretty much we're allowed 135 square meters plus 25% of the area, site area, and we're doing pretty much 135 square meters plus 29%, which equals to pretty much 56% of the site. So overall area of 282 square meters. And then the second variance is for the height of the garage, because we didn't want to take up too much area. We wanted to store 2 cars, so it will be using a lift. So the height is due to the lift, car lift inside the garage. And in regards to the first variance, I believe it's outdated. I think if I were to propose a garden suite here, then I wouldn't even have to go to committee, and I would be able to do this easily. And I read the objections from Mr. and Mrs. Bodziak, sorry if I misspell it, in regards to the height of the garage. And I think the proposal has very minimal impact in regards to the height because it's on the northeast corner. So if you consider the sun path going from east to south to west, we should be able to have pretty little impact on this. And there's an existing shed and existing small tree in there. So it'll be instead of that. I have objection letter from Mr. Wayne Nishihama in regards to the precedent being set from this project due to the size of it. I believe the precedents are already set. Any development in this area will have this problem of the overall GFA. I've done a research of the committee minor variances done in the area, and pretty much all of the, maybe 90% of the variances have this problem. I've looked at 8, 6, 10, 54, 56, Northampton, and 38 Maydolf Road. I looked at 22, 38, 25 Lorraine Drive, 17 Hamlin, 10 Hamlin, 28 Hamlin, 47 Hamlin. They all ask for more than 57% GFA. I'm asking for 56%. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions from panel members?
Help me understand the height of the garage. You said you wanted to park 2 cars in there. What does that have to do with the height?
They're putting a lift in.
Is the lift going in?
Yeah, there's a lift which will fit 2 cars within the the smaller space. Instead of going to 20 feet wide garage, we ask for 16 to fit in a car lift.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize it was the lift there.
Yep. Going up instead of down. We've seen that too. I'm assuming there's no one else to speak to this item? No. Okay. Any other questions, or are we ready to go into committee? Okay. Anyone ready for a motion?
I'm ready, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm satisfied this application for 2 variances meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval without conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Is there a seconder? Okay. All in favor? Dominic, sorry. All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you. Item 6 is an application for a 3rd-story addition. There are 3 variances, 273 6th Street. For a 3rd-story addition, there are 3 variances being requested. There is a petition in support, and Metrolinx has advisory comments. The applicant is online, I'm assuming. Lou?
Yes.
Are you there, sir?
Yes, I am. My name is Lou Parente of Napa Design. I'm the agent designer representing the owners of 2736 Street. I'm here to address any concerns and comments outlined in the items on the zoning notice.
Welcome. I don't think we need a full presentation. If you're open to just doing questions, we'll do that.
Yeah, I'm, yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Any questions? No questions. Any motions? Third-story addition, 3 variances.
Yep. Go.
Chair, I move that the application be approved. The 3 variances that are being requested are indeed minor, nominal, no impact.
Okay,
and
thank
no
you.
Conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Seconder? Mr. Ross, all in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you. Okay, item number 7 is 4 Park Lane. This is an application for a new garden suite above an existing garage. There were 7 variances. Actually, there still are 7 variances being requested, one of which was reduced. And I see no conditions being requested. Okay, Costa Derbish is the agent online. Costa.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
Good morning to the committee, Mr. Chair.
Good morning. Can you just give us a brief overview? I don't think we need a full presentation.
Sure. Yes. So I'm representing the owner and the applicant. My name is Costa Derbish. I work for KP Architects and Planners, and we're located at 197 Spadina Avenue. So 4 Park Lane is it's a proposal for a garden suite to the rear above an existing shed. So we're using the same foundation and walls of the existing garage. So that should kind of limit any concern to the existing setback criteria that's outlined on the zoning notice relative to side yard, rear yard, and distances from the main dwelling. There was one, we revised the proposal after discussions with city planning staff, who thought that 5.95 overall height may be a little too tall. So we brought down the overall height to that was 5.95 meters was the initial proposal. And we brought down the height from 5.95 meters to 5.25. City staff were happy to see that, and they had no issue with the outstanding variances of the proposal.
Okay. Thank you. I just have one quick question for you. On your drawing, on your site plan, what is the shaded area indicated by number 1?
It's a parking space.
Oh, you're defining the parking space on the driveway.
Yes, that's not built form, that's apartment space.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No, I'm assuming there's no one else to speak to this item. No.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anyone ready for a motion? Or any
Chair, I'm going to move that the revised application be approved. Variances that are being requested individually and collectively do meet the four tests. Move approval of the revised application, no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Do we have a seconder?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Mr. Ross? All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Costa. Okay, item 8, 19 Belfield Road. This is an application to permit a vehicle dealership. There is one variance. The variance is that a dealership is not permitted in a E-zone. Metrolinx has advisory comments. Transportation has conditions of approval should we approve. Planning is requesting refusal and stating that there should be a rezoning application rather than a committee of adjustment. So, Michael, online?
Yes, I am here, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Welcome. Good morning. Given that.
Good morning.
Can you give us a bit of an overview on what's going on here?
Yeah, I hope to make this quite quick for you, actually. I had previously requested a deferral from staff just so we can meet with planning and transportation staff and address some of their comments and concerns. So I think I was just inadvertently left off of the deferral requests up front. So I'm just here today to ask for a deferral to the next meeting so we can meet with staff.
So we weren't aware of it because it came in well past the deadline, so it wasn't on our radar.
Okay, that's up to you. We have done similar applications, but your choice. You want the deferral then?
Yes, we would like to request a deferral, please.
Okay, no problem. And I'm assuming there's no one else to speak to this item.
There is, Mr. Chair. There is an area resident.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Area resident is Josephine Lagrassa.
Hello, I'm Josephine Lagrassa. I'm located at 25 Belfield Road, which is a Air Canada component of QP building. My issue is the side of the building which is adjacent to 19 Belfield Road.
Okay, the applicants are asking for a deferral, so I would like your opinion on the deferral first.
That's fine.
You would be in favor of that?
Sure.
Perfect. We'll leave it at that.
I'll support a motion for deferral as requested by the applicant.
Okay.
What's the reason for it, though?
To process with planning with regards to the refusal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Transportation conditions.
Yeah.
The applicant, yes, indicated he was going to consult with those areas.
So to discuss with planning and transportation. And while you're taking the opportunity, you may want to discuss with your neighbor at number 25.
So Chair, I'll second that, indicating that it was at the request of the applicant.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gully. All in favor? Okay, the item is deferred. Okay, number 9 is 79 Brentwood Road South. This is an application that I need to look up. Hold on.
While you do that, Mr. Chair, I want to bring to your attention that Maxime Ifvamov, which is listed as an area resident, is actually the agent for the file.
Oh, okay. So Rick is not speaking then?
Correct.
Perfect. Okay, this is an application to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling, a covered rear yard deck, and a detached garage in the rear yard. The existing detached garage in the rear yard will be demolished. There are a total of 6 variances, one of which has been reduced. Forestry is requesting refusal, and there is a petition with 4 signatures in support. So if we can go to Maxime then.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Hi. Hello?
Hi, can you give us your name and address?
Hello.
And
My name is Maxim Yefimov. I'm from Motley Edition. My personal address is 40 Hawthorne Road, Etobicoke.
Okay, thank you. So if you could give us an overview, particularly if you could focus also on the forestry.
In response to the forestry comments and recommendations, it is now proposed that we do not replace the existing detached garage and located in the backyard. So we leave it as it is to make sure there is no impact on the protected tree. The revised drawings were submitted to the Committee of Adjustment. You can see them. They are available in the file. And we also submitted zoning review waiver addressing this variance item number 1. So garage is not getting.
Okay, so are you deleting the garage portion of your application?
Pardon me?
Are you deleting the garage portion of your application?
Exactly. Yes, we're just building the second floor above the existing house, and we don't touch the garage.
So,
it's reflected in.
Okay, do you know how that affects your variances? Are any of them going to change?
Yes.
Can you
tell us how them?
Can you run through those?
Yes, it is indicated in zoning review waiver that was submitted last time.
I'm not sure if we have the waiver. Can you go through the notice? So like item 1, you're amending your lot coverage then from 39.72 to 37.8, is that correct?
Definitely, 1 second.
That's the variant you're asking.
So item number 4. The permitted maximum lot coverage is 33% of the lot area. The proposed lot coverage is 39.72 square meters. It was before we deleted the garage from the application.
So now you're at 37.8, is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, so that's variance number 1, thank you. Are any of the other variances affected, or is that the only one?
This is the only one.
Okay, perfect. So we have that amendment in front of us.
So then the purpose should also be changed, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sorry. So to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling, a covered rear yard deck,
And then
period.
we can delete the rest.
Delete a detached garage in the rear yard.
And that the existing.
And that the existing garage is going to be demolished, okay. They can rebuild or whatever they want to do with that existing garage.
The existing garage is going to stay.
Is going to stay, so we're going to delete that it's going to be demolished. We're going to say it remains.
Yes, it will remain.
Okay, perfect. So that's the application we now have before us. Any questions or is there anyone else to speak to this item? I'm assuming.
Chair, I had a question. Does it change variance number 2?
It may not. But, sorry, so your GFA numbers don't change, is that correct? Because the garage is not included in the GFA. In some areas of Etobicoke, the garage GFA is included. Is it included in your area, or do you know? I'm going to assume it's not, because it's not one of the revisions.
Chair, can that impact the additional GFA on the second-story addition if it is included? I have a question. I'm not sure whether or not it should or it should not. So number 2 to me is a mystery.
Okay. Sorry, what item are we on?
My concern is that we might be giving more than...
More density. Okay, Maxime?
Thank you.
Can you please answer whether the GFA of 0.66, which is 245.5 meters squared, is that completely for the house, or is any of that included for the garage?
It is for the house.
So none of that is allocated to the garage?
No. It is correct.
Okay. Mr. Gully, I'm not sure.
Sorry, maximum gross floor area, including the floor area was unattached garage. That was not correct. The area includes the garage.
It does include the garage. So does that reflect the existing garage or the one that you were proposing to build before?
Wouldn't include the existing because it's going to be demolished.
Right.
It was proposed.
So it was with regards to the proposed. Was the footprint of the new garage to be different than the existing garage? Yes, okay.
It was, proposed garage was bigger.
Would be larger. Okay.
Would be larger, but we are not changing it anymore.
Okay, so to Mr. Gully's question then, we don't know how much the GFA will be reduced by keeping the existing garage? Or do you know?
I can provide this information. Calculate it.
If we approve it the way
it is now, we're giving him more GFA on the house. Do you need to take a break and we'll come back to this? Because I don't want to hold up other items. Maxime, how much time do you need to do the calculation?
Yes.
Are you okay if we hold your item and we'll come back to you at the end?
Yes.
And then you can do your calculation for how much the GFA is being reduced from the proposed garage to the existing garage. Okay?
Okay, yes, it's 7.15
Oh.
square meters, but I am okay with speaking about that later.
Okay, so we're going to come back to your item then, just to clarify that variance number 2.
Thank you.
So hold on the line, thank you. Okay, so item 10 has been deferred. Item 11 is 104 Martin Grove Road, Units 8 and 9. This is an application to permit a vehicle dealership. Again, 1 variance. Dealerships not allowed in an E-zone, and planning is recommending refusal.
This is the same reason from planning before that they thought it should be.
Yes, it is.
Done with zoning.
Okay, so is the agent Joseph Platino?
Yes.
Joseph, are you there?
I'm here. I am. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, I think we understand your application, so I don't think we need a...
Mr. Chair, as a reminder, there is an area resident
Okay.
On the phone.
We don't need
I do have a presentation to make, Mr. Chairman.
Maybe you
I'd
can
like
just...
to respond to the refusal.
Sorry, can you just give us a brief overview of your application?
Are you speaking to me? Okay.
If you're Joseph, then yes.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman. By introduction, my name is Joseph Platino. I represent the owner of the property. I have 35 years experienced, and I am a professional planner with registered professional planner in Ontario, member of the Canadian Institute of Planners. I am qualified by Ontario tribunals as an expert in land use planning. This proposal supports the purchase of 2 vacant condominium units, units 8 and 9, for new business use at 1040 Martin Grove, specifically a car rental brokerage firm. You have my considered and professional planning opinion that the proposal maintains the 4 tests pursuant to Section 45(1) of the Planning Act. You also have planning staff's opinion that the variance be refused as the request rises to the level of a conversion in land use, as the proposal would impact or limit the primary business operations in this provincially significant core employment property. Essentially, staff advocates refusal on the basis that the committee cannot adjudicate on a matter that adds a use that removes employment land or limits major industrial uses in the area, simply because the use is not listed as a permitted use in the official plan. Staff mentioned that such matters can only be permitted through a municipal comprehensive review. I offer that official plans must conform to the PPS, provincial policy statement, and be consistent with growth plans. PPS policy 1323 requires within employment areas planned for industrial or manufacturing uses that planning authorities shall prohibit residential uses and prohibit or limit other sensitive land uses. OP policy 2.2.4.2E states that the employment areas provide a stable and productive operating environment for existing and new businesses by preventing the establishment of sensitive uses. The PPS and OP both define sensitive land uses as buildings, amenity areas, or outdoor spaces where routine or normal activities may experience adverse effects from contaminant discharges generated by a nearby or major facility. Examples given include residences, daycare centers, and education and health facilities. It is my experience as an expert witness at provincial tribunals that the committee has the authority to allow a variance under Section 45(1) of the Planning Act that is clearly stated and meets the 4 tests. I offer that this variance is clearly stated does not affect existing or future major facilities, nor does it rise to the level of a change in land use or the introduction of a sensitive use, and meets the 4 tests. I offer that the variance is minor, will result in bringing in an invested business to a small bay condominium property and stabilize this employment property pursuant to the official plan, as it will otherwise be underutilized. Staff acknowledged in their report that the proposal is to permit a car rental business entirely within units 8 and 9 and conditional on no outside storage. We're offering that, Mr. Chairman. So if the committee conditions this variance, the city can enforce the bylaw. I should also mention that the condominium corporation and the condominium board's bylaw provides each of the 25 businesses on this property to use, business units, I apologize, to use 3 parking spaces for overnight parking. Any abuse of this rule allows the condominium corporation the authority to remove them. I'm aware that this committee has approved at least 3 car rental businesses in this employment E zone, also within designated core employment areas. Optimum Car Rental at 11 Belfield, file number 80757-18. Payless Car Rental at 33 Carlson Court, file number A181-16, and Max Car Rental at 35 Stoffel Drive, file number A587-15EYK. Please consider that there are 5 car rental agencies located within 1 kilometer distance from this site, including YYZ Car Rental at 145 Belfield and G-Force Car Rental at 655 Dixon Road, all on land zoned and designated exactly as this property is. The proposal is minor, as adding an employment use such as proposed use that is entirely confined
Okay,
within
can
a
I
building.
get you to wrap up, and then we'll have a couple of questions, which I think you'll be able to fill out your
I only need 10
presentation.
seconds.
Thanks.
10 seconds? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the proposed use is entirely confined within the building, occupying 8% of the 75,000 square feet total GFA of the building. So a use like this, without outside storage, cannot cause an adverse impact on adjacent properties or the primary use of a core employment area beyond which that which is permitted in the bylaw. So I respectfully request that the committee consider my opinion and allow the variance. Thank you.
Thank you. A couple of quick questions before we go to the next speaker. So what you're saying then is that you would be using no more than 6 parking spaces in total, since there's 2 units being occupied?
Yeah, every unit has the same concession.
Okay, so that would be a total of 6 spaces allocated to this use then, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
For
And-
overnight parking only, not during the day.
That's fine. And then no interior part of the unit is being used for servicing cars. I mean, essentially, this is going to be an office use.
It's an office use with indoor storage. Their cars are going to be indoors at all time. They get cleaned up and they get picked up or delivered to the
Okay,
consumer.
no, we get it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Chair, I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
Good morning, Joseph. Your clients are purchasing units 8 and 9, that's correct?
Well, my client is the owner of the property, but yes, the potential purchaser wishes to bring their business to units 8 and 9. Correct.
Okay. And are there designated parking spaces? These are condominiums. There's 25 units. Since these are condominiums, are there designated parking spaces for each of units 8 and 9?
There are no designated parking spaces. Condo Corp controls it all. It's common area for the use of all tenants. The 3 spaces that you're referring to per unit is an allocation for overnight parking for each unit in the property. 25 of them has 3 are allowed to park 3 cars overnight anywhere on the parking lot where there's room, but not to be abused.
You indicate that there's no outside storage. That you mean that there are no cars associated with this business that would be using any of the parking spaces which is shared by all 25 units on site?
Correct.
So And now I understood that you're going to be servicing or cleaning, not mechanically dealing with vehicles, but you're going to be cleaning vehicles in the 2 units?
Well, I don't know if they actually wash them outside, but they're just cleaned up. You know, obviously when people rent them, they leave garbage inside the units. So first of all, they're stored inside to keep them safe. Secondly, they're almost always being utilized. And thirdly, they do need to clean the vehicle somewhere. So they're using the indoor space for that purpose. Indoor
Is there
storage
something about
is
washing
permitted
the
by-
vehicles outside?
I don't know how they may wash them inside. They may take them to a car wash. I don't know.
There are overhead doors now to units 8 and 9?
There are, sir.
Do you have a letter from the condominium corporation supporting this?
I represent them. I represent the owner of the condo corp.
The owner
If you look at the
condo
application,
corp.
yeah, the application, yeah, 1040 Martin Grove Limited Partnership is the owner.
But these units are all not necessarily owned by your client. Not all 25 units are owned by your client, right?
Right. That's correct. Yeah.
And all
So
the other
I'm
owners,
representing condo corp. I'm representing condo corp, in other words, right?
you're representing the condominium corporation?
Yes, as I understand it, 1040 Martin Grove Limited Partnership is a condo corp.
Do the other owners know of this proposal?
They do.
Is there a list of owners and whether or not they concur with it?
I have no petition. I believe that one of the owners is concerned. His name is Danny. However, other than that, Mario, we spoke to Mario. He's basically acting, I guess he's like one of the, he's on the board, and I understand he's not present.
Okay, Joseph, I'm just a little confused then. You're the agent for the purchaser of units 8 and 9, but you don't represent the condominium corporation.
I believe that I'm retained by 1040 Martin Grove Limited Partnership. I am representing the future business owner that will be occupying that unit. The owner of the units is 1040 Martin Grove Limited Partnership, and they're asking me to add the use so that they can sell the units to Verista, who is going to be operating the rental car dealership.
Do you know how many different companies are owners in this complex of 25 individual units?
I do have a list.
Okay,
may
so
I check it? Or?
Actually, we're not getting anywhere.
I
guess
believe
my
there are
question
20
was
businesses.
basically, there's got to be a condominium corporation, a board of directors. Was that board of directors aware, or are they aware of the fact that this application is coming in? And are they in agreement with it, or have they provided any comments? So the answer to that is no. Is that correct?
Oh, that's not the answer. The property manager did meet has attended the property and met with people. The only two concerned parties was, hang on a sec, Danny,
Ferroni,
who is here to speak, and a fellow named Mario, who is on the board. At that time, they were concerned because the sign said car dealership. This is not a car dealership. It's a car rental service that's contained entirely indoors. Once that was explained to the tenants, the only person that I understand is concerned about it is Danny. And I spoke to him today. I tried to convey the proper use of land, what we're proposing, how it shouldn't affect anyone on the property or adjacent to it, because it's wholly enclosed within the building. However, he still had concerns.
Okay, so not to belabor this.
We'll be hearing from him next.
Just one really fast question. The parking is controlled overnight, but during the day, anybody can park anywhere. So if ABC rental company has 10 or 15 vehicles waiting on the lot to be cleaned up, then the other owners are impacted by that parking demand, are they not?
They have 6,000 square feet of space within the unit. I think
Okay,
5%.
thank you. Thank you very much, Joseph.
Sure.
Okay, so just want to clarify. So you're representing the condo corp, but the condo corp has not yet sold all of the units. So
Correct.
Are there other units for sale other than 8 and 9?
There are other vacancies within the property.
Okay. So this is a condo that hasn't fully been condominiumized yet? Or it has?
It has been condominiumized. It is a condominium. However, the property is underutilized. We're trying to find business tenants.
Okay, got it.
For the property.
Understood. Okay, thank you. Perhaps we can get Danny to chime in with his concerns at this point.
Hello?
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Absolutely, loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to talk. So just a few clarifications.
We need your name and address.
Oh, sorry. It's Danny Ferroni. I'm one of the tenants, owners and operators at 1040 Martin Grove, Unit 23. I'm fairly new into the complex. So I only found out about this application once the sign was posted. So the gentleman who spoke before definitely does not speak on my behalf, because the condo corporation did not ask or send out a letter to the owners to say whether we were in agreement or in disagreement with the proposed change to the units. So that's first and foremost. This is we're coming on late on this in the 11th hour, I'd say. A few concerns I have, aside from the obvious with having the cars, is if the first thing is if the usage, again, I think it was a little bit gray on what they were going to use it for, but if they are cleaning the cars outside, I'm not sure that that the chemicals used to clean the cars would be separated properly, or where is it going to go? If they're using it inside the unit, you're still going to have oil, excess salt, everything a car brings with it. And again, if it's a car rental, we don't know what the volume is going to be. Is it going to be 1 a day? Is it going to be 20 a day? Is there an oil interceptor in place to take care of the runoff? Right now, I don't believe there is an oil interceptor in place. The next question I would have is if they are now using the water supply for something other than what the rest of the tenants were using for, basically is our coffees and the washrooms and whatnot. I don't think anybody's using water in manufacturing. They're going to increase the water usage, and we're on a shared water as well with inside the units. So there's contamination issues, there's cost issues, aside from, of course, the density, that if the unit itself, in the front of the unit, is very difficult to park as it is, because if you look at the drawings, we basically have enough room just to back our car in. And every day you got to do a 3 or 4 point turn just to get in and out of the unit. It's tight, to say the least. And I'm not 100% sure that all the owners know that this is going through, because we were not informed of it other than the signage up front. And some owners might be renting again, I don't know, but some owners might be renting their units and don't come by to see that sign. I think that's my only comments right now.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. With regards to the parking, I'm not sure what the bylaws are, but there is no signage to say no overnight parking. So I don't know how you would distinguish an employee's car, from a customer's car, from a car rental car, from somebody who just parked at the airport. So I don't know how that would even be enforced.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you. Just before you go, couple of questions. First off, what's the mix of units? Like, what are the mix of businesses that are in this building? What is your nature of your business, and what are your neighbors? Just out of
The nature of my business is we make training equipment for aviation. So we make cabin door trainers for, and we ship them out. But in the units that I've seen, and again, this is just driving in and out, I've seen a window company. I've seen, I think there's a security company that does cameras. I believe there is, I think there might be a steel company. Again, I think they just sell. I haven't really, there's an electrician. There's
No, it's okay. Just curious about the mix of the uses, but thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions from panel members for the deputy? No.
So we have nothing in writing from any of the other owners. Is that correct?
I think we're going to come back to Joseph on that. Is there anyone else to speak on this item?
There is not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to Joseph for a rebuttal, and we'll have some more questions at the end of that.
And
So
as part
everyone
of,
got the same.
as Mr. Palatino, as part of your response, the previous speaker said that they were only notified about this by reading the sign. And since you represent the Condo Corp, as you've said previously, the Condo Corp is responsible for providing notice to all of the unit owners. Can you address how that was done? Because you are required, or the Condo Corp is required to do that as part of a minor variance application.
I cannot speak on behalf of the Condo Corp with respect to that part. All I can tell you is that I'm in touch with the property manager. Has already explained to me that that she spoke to everyone, and only Danny and Mario expressed a concern. Mario is okay with it now. Danny is not. That's all that I heard.
Okay,
Now,
but
the
part of your application is to ensure proper notice.
So
and
it's
if
not
you
a
have not,
conversation. You
if
have,
you have
to provide them with a copy of the notice.
and if you have not done so, then we have a notice issue and we have to adjourn or defer it.
I can't, I don't have a response. I don't know if, I can't say that, that she provided a letter, if that's what you're asking me. All I know is that she did speak to all the tenants.
But you said some of the tenants aren't even there all the time.
We prepared a letter. Like a petition kind of thing. She spoke to all the tenants, and had reported to me that only 2 were concerned. But that's all I know. Now the owners, I don't know if she sent a letter to the owners. It is very possible that some of these units are occupied, are rented from the owners. So I just can't speak to it because I don't know. And if that means that I have to defer, then I think that that's wise. But if you'd like me to respond to Danny's comments, then I can do that as well.
Chair, may I ask, I promise it'll be a very short question.
Go ahead, no.
Of all the 25 units, how many of those units
are empty?
Have been sold?
I only know that there are 2 vacant units, so...
Are those your 2?
They belong to the Condo Corp, the owner, the people that I represent.
Okay.
Colt actually owns it, not the Condo Corp.
Okay, well, we've gotten into this as deep as we have. My concern is that there should have been a written notice, and it would have been good to include a copy of that. It would have been good to provide us with the information that this is a Condo Corp. The bylaws of the Condo Corp that pertain to this issue would have been helpful as well. So in the event that you get deferred, something to think about for the future. Do we have a notice issue, I guess is the question.
We don't know because the agent can't confirm that the condo corp provided notice as required under the Planning Act. We can set the application down and they can respond in the afternoon, but I don't know if that's fair to the neighbor who's present, or the tenant that's present.
Yeah, no.
Well, he's aware.
Well, he's aware,
He's
yeah.
aware he's here, right?
That doesn't resolve.
he's here.
That doesn't resolve our issue as to whether proper notice was given or not.
Yes, but he may not want to wait around for 3 hours to get a response before the committee can make a decision.
So if you defer to the afternoon and I contact the property manager to see
No,
if
at this
there was
point, we
written
would be
notice-
deferring to next month or the month after, so that you could provide us with the proper information at the next meeting.
Well, at the earliest meeting would be helpful. There is the issue of a business that wants to move to Toronto and create jobs.
Yeah, there's also the business of us following the rules.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think if the question of proper notice has been raised and the speaker can confirm that that's been satisfied, that we don't have any option but to defer to until we can assure ourselves that proper notice has been provided to all the tenants affected.
Is that a motion, Ms. Reddick?
It certainly is. So
Okay.
I move that we defer this.
Before we get a seconder, I would also suggest to the applicant that he may want to consult with planning in the interim to see if you can change their mind on their refusal recommendation. Is there a seconder for Ms. Reddick's motion to defer?
Yeah, I'll second the motion, and I'd just like to sort of make a comment related to what you just said, Chair, about talking to community planning, because I take their comments very seriously about, the need to assess this comprehensively and with consultation through a zoning bylaw amendment process. So I've got some concerns, not only with the adequacy of public notice, but the merits of this, handling this as a minor variance. And obviously right now, community planning recommends refusal of this. We heard from Danny, who raised some issues about, the possible impacts of what's being proposed here. So, yeah, I'm okay with deferral, but I think I particularly cottoned on to your comment about the need to discuss this with community planning, because I don't think it helps advance this with a refusal recommendation from that significant department. Thank you. Sorry, I will second the motion. Sorry for the long-windedness.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we have approved similar applications, although never as a new first-time use. So I don't know if that makes a difference or not, but there's a motion that's been put on the table and seconded. All in favor? Opposed? Are you opposed to the You're in favor? Okay, so that's a unanimous deferral then. Thank
Sorry,
you.
to clarify, because we will be asked, does the motion include consultation with community planning or just the condo corp notification?
I'll accept an amendment to include consultation with planning.
Okay, so consultation will have to occur before we reschedule it for a hearing, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to number 12, or do we have, do we want to go back to, let's do number 12 and then we'll.
We got 9 to go back.
Because I think you suggested we save 9 to the end.
Yeah, let's
We
do
gave
that.
so we'll just do that 9 last.
Fair enough. So number 12, 8 through 16 Locust Street. This is an application to permit a parking deficiency for a proposed 37-story residential building. There is one variance being requested, and I appreciate that in the late materials, there was a clarification as to what number of parking spaces we're actually talking about. And the only comment from outside agencies is Metrolinx with advisory comments. Charlie Smith.
Through you,
Welcome.
Mr. Chair. Thank you. For the record, my name is Charlie Smith. I'm a senior planner at BELFIELD Inc., which is 3 Church Street, Suite 200 in Toronto, Ontario. I represent the owner of the property. And thank you for acknowledging that there was a last-minute change to the variance that is requested. It was an interpretation, which I can happily explain more of, but in essence, the required number of accessible spaces was reduced from 9 to 7. I'm happy to give a detailed presentation, which we have on the screen, if I'm using my 5 minutes, but I'll leave it to the chair.
I'm not sure if we need that, but just to clarify, you're requesting a total of 4 accessible parking spaces, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Are there any questions?
So you're requesting 4? Because it looks like from the revision page it says 2.
There's a second one in the additional materials for item 12.
Yeah, for the additional materials?
Yeah, see, in their presentation, they're actually requesting 4, but in their notice, they had originally said 2. So 4 accessible spaces will be provided, 2 on 2 different levels of the parking
Correct.
garage.
I guess I have a question. Is there any implication of meeting the Ontario with Disabilities Act, having this reduction?
So speaking to the 4 that are provided, they are meeting all the requirements in terms of dimensions, which is a standard parking space and a 1.5 meter clearance for additional accessibility concerns for doors opening, mobility devices, etc. So all the spaces are in compliance with those regulations.
Okay.
And the other clarification I think we should do is that originally the spots were stated as being for residents, but these are not necessarily for residents.
Correct. So to clarify the matter, the interpretation from the buildings department was that due to our zoning and site plan applications being filed in advance of February 2022, the accessible parking provision in the bylaw and the way it's calculated prior to that date does not distinguish between resident and visitor spaces. So it's a 4 for a total. And in the original zoning notice, they used a post February 2022 interpretation, which caused the discrepancy from that 9 to 7. So that was since corrected. We're required to do the 7. We're providing the 4, which
Okay,
meet the
and
dimensions.
is there a designated area for visitors versus residents? And are 2 located in each of those areas?
There is. So for the visitor spaces, there is a parking arm that is internal to the first level of the underground, which distinguishes between the visitor spaces and the resident spaces. So there are 2 and 2, 2 for residents, 2 for
2
visitors.
for visitors. Okay. All clear now.
It was a bit of a tricky one, so I'm happy we sorted it
You
out.
better stay with the visitor space.
Sorry?
Make sure you're only in the visitor space.
That's fine by me. Okay, so I think we kind of have the full picture clarified now. If there's are there any other questions, or are we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, if there are no other questions coming from anyone, I'm prepared to make a motion. I'm satisfied that the application meets the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval. And just to point out, it's not a condition, but there was a Metrolinx advisory associated with this application that you're aware of. So, yeah, my motion is to approve without amendments, or without conditions.
Okay, I just want to see where is the final notice that we're approving?
Yeah, I would call it revision page number 2, item 12. That's item number 12. That's how it's labeled. Revision page number 2. And it's in the July 18th additional materials.
Okay, hold on, July 18th.
And it highlights the changes in the,
Yep. With that, Chair, I second.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay, so we're now looking at a total of 4 accessible parking spaces will be provided. And
Yep.
we don't need to specify whether they're for visitors or for, no?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. All in favor? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, so we're on to item 13. 73 Thompson Avenue. This is an application for a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There were 9 variances, which has now been revised. Sorry, there were 10 variances revised to 9. 1 has been eliminated. Planning is requesting conditions of approval. Forestry is requesting condition 3. There are support letters from 10 individuals, and there are objections from 12 individuals, more or less. Hey, sorry, Marco?
Yes.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Marco Razzolini from Sakura Design, Inc., 94 Lakeshore Road East, Unit 201, Mississauga, Ontario. Just to clarify, we do have 21 letters of support, and I wasn't sure the exact number for the letters of objection. Before starting, I was hoping that we would be able to revise a few of the variance items to improve the conditions, just in light of the letters of objection that came in toward the end of last week. I did also have the opportunity to speak with Ingrid, who I believe is probably on the call, from the Thompson Orchard Community Association, and then since have also had a conversation with the owners. Primarily the changes are to side yard setback and building height, but they impact a couple of the other variances as well.
But we don't have the revised plans before us.
There's no revised plans, no.
If you can
Yes,
coverage?
so I also have those numbers as well.
I know, but the committee doesn't have the plans before them.
The plans are the same. We've just reduced the side yard setback by
The
a
plans
small
can't,
amount.
if you're reducing the,
Sorry?
if you're increasing a setback,
Yes,
it means your house is getting smaller,
correct.
which means your coverage and your GFA will go down.
I have those numbers as well.
But we don't have the plans that match those numbers.
Right. Our hope is that because we're reducing the impact, we're improving the condition, that we would be able to make the adjustment today.
So in the chair's speech, hopefully he mentioned that last minute revisions may not be considered.
Understood. The letters of objection came in on Friday. Ingrid from the Thompson Orchard Community Association called me Tuesday afternoon. The owners have made a significant effort to speak with all the neighbors in the neighborhood. We have 21 letters of support. Understanding that there is some objection, we're trying to make an effort to bring some of the variances down.
Well done. The only issue is we won't really be able to see what you're now proposing.
Right, but from a design perspective, I think the design doesn't change, but we are reducing the impact.
I mean, technically, they don't have to give us the interior drawings anyway.
No, but the site
But
plan
the site plan-
elevations would be affected as well. It's up to the committee. But you will not be seeing what you're making a decision on.
Understood.
If we accept that, aren't we sort of setting a precedent that someone can change it on the floor anytime?
We have had changes on the floor, but they were not they wouldn't affect the site plan.
Right.
These two.
Yeah, it's very easy to eliminate a driveway width or a
Yeah.
landscape variance, right? Because the built form doesn't change. But here, the built form will change.
We could proceed with the application as proposed.
Well, that's what we're trying to decide
Yeah.
is whether we can.
Right.
I mean, the alternative is a deferral, and there's not much you would need to do other than submit your drawings.
No, I understand. I think for us, it was a little bit late notice. The owners have made a significant effort to reach out to all the neighbors. The letters of objection, I think the members of the intake technicians can comment on. They were submitted at the last minute. The Thompson Orchard community didn't reach out to us until Tuesday. So you know, we're sort of
It's part of the
in the 11th
it's
hour, right?
part of the problematic nature of the process too, so.
Right. So, I mean, we're trying to make the effort to improve the condition.
Are you eliminating any of the variances?
Just reducing.
Just reducing?
Yes.
Okay.
If I could run through the changes, maybe that
No,
would help
because I don't
clarify.
want to go through all of that if we're going to defer you anyway. So I think we need to decide now whether we're going to defer or whether we're going to proceed.
I'm not comfortable voting on something with, we don't have a correct updated site. We'll look at it.
Okay.
Can we keep the application as it stands? I guess the risk would be if it's not approved, we get refused rather than go through a deferral process.
That's not really fair to the people that you've already communicated with.
Right.
Because we're then approving something beyond what you've agreed to reduce.
No, so we haven't spoken with them directly about the reductions. I think
Well,
we were coming
you know
here
what?
today.
We haven't heard from them yet either.
Understood. Yeah.
And even if we go to deferral, I'm going to ask for their input on it.
Yeah. I understand. I think like with the changes, there are changes to the height. We're proposing a change to the side yard setback. It does have a massing impact, but it's more, I think the changes are more of a change on paper, more so than a change in the architectural design. The form of the building is generally staying the same, just being reduced in size.
Okay, but you know what? I think it also would be fair to the opponents to get those drawings and those changes because they may not be opposing it anymore.
Right.
Right.
Possibly.
Let's stand it aside. I'm going to get a little bit of input from the other applicant, from the deputants. Is anyone here in person on this? Peter?
To the best of my knowledge, no. Everyone is virtual.
Okay.
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so is Ingrid the first speaker? No, on deferral. Hi, okay, so the applicant is suggesting that they've made significant reductions to their proposal. Are you aware of those changes?
Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed. Sorry. I'm on.
Sorry, can
the
we just
Thompson
get your
Orchard
name and
Community
address?
Association.
Your full
Sorry.
name.
Yes. Ingrid Van Wert. My last name is 2 words, Van, and then Weert. And I live at 28 Meadowcrest Road. I actually my house fronts on Thompson, which is the affected road.
Yes, there is, with respect
And
to...
sorry.
Okay, so
I filed the letter of objection on behalf of TOCA well before the deadline, early last week. So the agent, disingenuous, saying the letters came in at the last moment.
Okay, so
I'd also like to point out.
So would you?
I think it should be deferred. I would like to see what they've actually.
That's
my position
that's what I'm getting at. I just wanted to get your position on that. My other problem why I don't think we can proceed is that planning is recommending conditions of approval. One of those conditions of approval ties to drawings. We don't have drawings to tie to now because they've just been changed. So in my view, it needs to be deferred anyway. Thank you for your input. Is Peter online?
Peter, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, it's Peter Chakras. I live at 82 Thompson. I'm currently serving as the development lead for the Thompson Orchard Community Association, and I agree with the deferral.
Thank you. David Atkinson?
David, go ahead.
David Atkinson. Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. David Atkinson at 39 Cliveden Avenue. I also support a deferral as I do not support the application as it was presented to me, and I need to see any changes that are being submitted.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Anyone else online or?
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay, great. We're going to take it back to committee then. Anyone ready for a motion?
Just to reiterate what was in the opening remarks of the chair, it says, please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised to ensure the revised application is accurate and that all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes.
So I would make a motion to defer the application to allow us to, the applicant to submit revised drawings.
Yeah, and the resulting changes to the variances.
Right.
Okay, seconder?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. All in favor? Okay, the application has been deferred.
Thank you.
Okay, item 14. 108 4th Street. This is an application to construct a second-story addition above an existing dwelling and a rear addition. There are 3 variances being requested. There are no comments from any departments. Thank you for patiently waiting for the whole morning.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm just trying to find your name on here.
Oh, I'm Mark Lilly,
Okay.
323 Garden View Drive, Burlington.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think we need a full presentation.
Okay.
You want to hit some highlights, then we'll ask some questions.
Sure.
Just want to find the item now. Okay, so you've got a variance for GFA, you've got a variance for roof eaves and canopy awning.
That's correct.
Okay, any questions for the committee members?
This is the second story addition.
That's correct.
Plus the,
There's no one online for this?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, anyone ready for a motion?
Chair, I move that the 3 variances be authorized, that the application be approved with no conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Seconder? Ms. Ruddick? All in favor? Approved unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope it was worth the wait. Okay, item 15 has been deferred. Item 16, I have a conflict, and I will turn over the mic to Mr. Taylor. If I may.
You may. Okay. Oh, wait, there you go. Okay, good. That's no speakers. Okay, item number 16 is 104 VALECREST Drive. The purpose of the application is to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 5 variances. We have urban forestry conditions 2 and 3, and transportation services conditions. There are 3 of them. And we had some additional information from transportation, which I'll just quickly look at here. Okay, it looks like they haven't changed their 3 conditions of approval. So that's really all we have on file. We have our agent, Peter Giordano. Peter, are you available?
Yes, Mr. Chair, committee members, I'm available.
Okay, I think, unless my colleagues disagree with me, I think this is pretty straightforward. Unless, do any of you require or wish a presentation on this application? No? Okay, then. So I guess we can go right into committee then for comments if desired, or a motion.
Chair, I move that the application for 104 VALECREST Drive, variance is being requested be approved, transportation conditions and urban forestry conditions number 2 and 3. 4 tests are met, in my view.
Thank you, Mr. Gully. Is there a seconder for Mr. Gully's motion? Rick, thank you. All in favor? That is approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Giordano.
Wonderful.
Before we move on to the next item, I just want to bring the attention to folks who might be on the call expecting the 1 p.m. session to start. We are still working through the 9 a.m. session right this time, and then we will be taking a recess for lunch. So once we find out a better the official time to start, we will let you know. But please don't jump off the call at this point.
Okay, I guess we're back to item 17, which is 9 Densley Avenue. And this is an application to permit a parking deficiency. There is 1 variance being requested. Transportation is actually requesting that this item be deferred or requiring 4 conditions. Mr. Ian Graham is our agent. Do we have Ian online?
Ian, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Ian Graham from R.E. Millward and Associates, 1200 Bay Street, Suite 1101, Toronto.
Okay, welcome, sir. Can you, I guess, primarily address transportation's issues and why we should not be deferring this?
Well, I'm actually okay with the deferral.
Okay.
No, I couldn't get a chance to say that at 9 o'clock this morning, but
Oh,
unfortunately I had to wait.
okay, sorry about
Not to worry.
that. Yeah, we thought you'd want to go ahead, actually.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Well, I mean, ideally, this did come as a bit of a surprise to us because we didn't see the letter until Friday of last week.
Oh, boy.
I guess there's just two issues. We've retained a traffic consultant at the request of transportation, who was
Yeah.
retained as of yesterday.
Okay.
And Mr. Michael Tedesco, and he will be in touch with Mr. Nicolucci from transportation. Just 2 comments. One, we're going to undertake the parking study that they've asked us to do,
Yeah, I think
which
that's
is
the
fine.
issue.
Yeah, and we're also going to make a modification to one of the units proposed. These are going to be proposed basement unit of an existing building, which would have the effect of reducing the overall unit size below 500 square meters, which would therefore not require a type B loading space. And the type B loading space.
Okay.
creates
You know
in
what?
terms
If we're going to go for deferral, it sounds like you got it figured out. But if we're going for deferral, let's not get into it right now. So is there, I'm assuming there's no one else to speak to this item?
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so then we'll take it back to committee members for a motion.
Chair, I'm going to move that the application for 9 Densley be deferred at the request of the applicant as well as transportation services.
So that they can get their study in place. Okay, seconder? Okay, all in favor? Your item is deferred. Sorry for the long wait. Okay, we're back to item number 9.
Mr. Chair, while you look and bring number 9 up, I want to bring to your attention that an area resident was brought to my attention after we stood this item down. So I don't remember exactly how we're going to jump into this one, if we're just going to kind of restart right from the start on number 9. But there is now an area resident that wants to speak.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we need a presentation again. I think we know what's being requested. What we didn't know was what the numbers were on the on the modification of the
This is
second variance.
Going to replace the garage.
Correct. This is the one where the existing garage is going to remain, and we needed to know what the new GFA numbers were because of that. So hopefully he's had a chance to calculate that. Was Maxime, I believe. And then, so if we can get those numbers from Maxine, and then we can go to the area
Yes.
resident.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello. Yes, I got those numbers. To item number 3, the proposed gross floor area is now 238.41. That gives us 63.8% for space index.
So 0.63 GFA.
We would round up to 0.64 because he said 63.8.
0.8, okay, so 60.
Yes. 64 space index.
Okay, perfect. So you've reduced variance 1 and 2 now. And
Yes.
Dominic is gone, but I don't know if he had any other. None of the other variances are being impacted.
Correct.
Perfect. So if you could hold on, and then we're going to get the area resident to speak, and then if need be, we'll have you to come back. So who do we have?
The area resident is Peter Chakaris, and they are unmuted now. Peter, go ahead.
Greetings
Welcome.
again, committee chair and members of the committee. My name is Peter Chakras. I live at 82 Thompson Avenue. I serve as the current development lead for the Thompson Orchard Community Association, known as TOCA. I'm here today to speak to you about our concerns regards the plans for 79 Brentwood South. Apologies for the late objection, but as you know, there's been a few recent applications in the summer periods, and a number of us have been on vacation, so we weren't able to respond immediately to these requests. I understand 79 has up to 6 variances, some of which are fairly highly impactful and exceed the normal variance type allowances made in the Thompson neighborhood and the Brentwood Street. Sought are variances to the permitted lot coverage, maximum dwelling height with a peaked roof. In this case, they're looking for 9.38 meters. The average approved revised heights off Brentwood average 9 meters on 7 separate applications over the last few years. There's also higher wall heights for all walls, extreme proximity of the roof eaves, and with one dimension under an inch to the lot line. So I'll just point out it's 2 centimeters for the eaves from the lot line on the existing wall that's being topped up. So it's basically a 2-story top-up. And a slight variance to the front yard soft landscaping. While I understand there has been a few letters of support for the development, TOCA feels the coverage is excessive and the added roof height will contribute to shading of the adjacent property due to existing small side setback of the original home and the to be reused wall. So TOCA requests that the committee deny this application to permit further discussion of these concerns with the owner and the agent. And TOCA is certain we can result in a suitable plan that meets the owner's needs and preserves the character of Thompson Orchard. Thank you, Chair, for hearing our submission.
Okay, thank you. And you're aware of the proposed reductions that the applicant has proposed. So both variances 1 and 2 are now being reduced. So the
Correct.
37.8 is the new coverage number and 0.64 is the new GFA. That doesn't change your presentation, I'm assuming. Peter? Sorry, are you there?
I'm on mute.
No.
Peter, you're not muted. You are live, and the chair did ask a question.
No.
To you there.
Am I muted? It says
You are,
that I'm muted.
You are
Can
not.
you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, thank
we
you.
can hear you fine.
Okay, very good. Yeah, so the coverage area, while it has reduced somewhat to 37.8, it's still in excess of the normal averages which are, I believe, in the 35 to 36 range for revised properties in this area and past developments.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from panel members? No? Okay, Maxime, if I can get you to come back and address Peter's concerns.
Yes, hello. So we are just building second floor up on top of the existing main floor. We can't really change the setbacks because it's the existing condition of the existing one-story building. And so from the research we have done, it's from the research of the other positive decisions from the committee of adjustment in this area. So we can, I can say that those variances are minor and they were approved in other similar applications, quite common for this area.
Okay, so you're saying this is a straight top up. You're not changing the footprint
Yes.
of the house.
Exactly.
So the coverage number is an existing situation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can we get the applicant to confirm the number, because we heard two different things, so we don't want to make a mistake in the minutes and decision. What is your proposed total GFA? 238 point what?
41.
238.41.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I'm just looking at the site plan now, and the second floor is just slightly smaller than the ground floor at the front. Is there anything else you want to add to that, or any?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from panel members? Okay, if we can go into committee then, if there's any discussion.
Chair, there's no discussion. I'm prepared to make a motion.
Okay, go for it.
Chair, I had no concerns with variance 4, 5, and 6. I had some concerns with respect to variance number 2. And in view of the fact that the coverage is really what's there today, I think I'm satisfied with the changes that have been made. Variance number 1 to have 37.8% at 141.19. And now the fact that the GFA has been reduced to 0.64. I move approval with subject to urban forestry. Now, I didn't have a chance to ask whether or not...
Urban forestry is a refusal.
Yeah, whether or not the applicant's aware of that, but I guess he'll have to deal with that at that point. Move approval with urban forestry conditions.
Well, okay, but what are the conditions? Because you can't move with a condition saying that you're refusing.
Chair, urban forestry is recommending refusal.
But based on city or privately owned trees?
It's condition number 5.
Privately, okay.
So.
And then on
condition
July
5?
2nd, they added that they would be okay with condition 2 for a private tree. So if I could suggest your motion would be urban forestry condition 2.
I'm fine with that, Chair. Okay. Condition 2.
So urban forestry condition 2 affecting privately owned trees. Is there a seconder?
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. So we have a motion to approve as amended, subject to forestry condition 2. All in favor? Okay, it's approved unanimously. Thank you. And that concludes our morning session.
So folks who are here